not a meal. That's bullshit.
I have seriously been thinking about ordering Seasons of the Real World on DVD.
I need to watch this right now. I need to watch this movie.
This is my fucking Goonies, I think.
Yeah, it's so good. We're live.
All right, greetings, Long Walkers.
Yeah, welcome to Long Walk Short Drink. This is the live stream recording in the episode, I guess, if you're depending on when you're hearing this, of episode 39. Long Walk Short Drink, episode 39. The first official episode of I would call this the official 2018 first episode, because last episode was like we were just wrapping up 2017.
Yes, we were making a point to not talk about new things from 2018.
Yeah. So
the ban has been lifted.
I know. Now we can talk about all kinds of new crap. So how you been, Dave?
Yeah. I've been well. I have been busy, but in a good way, and also sort of not as busy at work, which has been nice and unusual and welcome. I don't know how much I should say about it, but we're interviewing right now to get a second one of me. So as a video producer, I have been a one-man band for 5 years at this place,
right? And
done to toot my own horn, I guess, done a good enough job that the demand has raised such that able to get a new job created in academia, which is tough. So listeners to the show will know I've had a lot of struggles with the capacity at work, etc. And yeah, they're hiring a 75% time person to help with that. And there's one candidate in particular I hope we go with because he was perfect.
Yeah.
So that'd be really nice. I've been working on some stuff. I don't know how much to say about. I think it's best. I heard past shows and I don't like it if I talk about the same thing twice in terms I'm working on this because I tend to be working on things for a long time.
Right.
But I'm working on something that might be finished sooner rather than later. So I'll say it has to do with 20-year-old music project of Moto's that I'm trying to commemorate.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Or that I am commemorating. I just working with him to see what that will include, how much that will entail.
That is so intriguing because on the Des Moines trip on the way home, we kind of dug into some old Moto projects, on the way home. Yeah. And played Double D some. I don't want to say it because I have a feeling I can only think of a couple 20-year-old projects. And if
well, it's not. I can talk about it. It's no problem.
No, but I don't want to spoil it because when it comes out, then we'll really blow it up because it'll be.
Oh yeah.
It'll be a good time. So I don't want to spoil it at all. But if it's anything, what I'm thinking, man, that would be awesome because we broke out some good stuff.
Yeah, Moto's got a lot of great recordings of different kinds, different genres. He's he's tried on and done very well with. It's and actually I thought of a 10-year-old one that I might have to revive later in the year, but I'm trying to balance it. So I got one of mine I'm going to do after this, and all kinds of stuff. But
awesome.
Yeah. What about you? Listeners can't tell. Well, they can tell if they go to our Twitter and see the image for the show, but
image for the show.
You're damn near hairless.
If they go on the live stream recording. So, last episode I talked about a lot of changes that I want to have for the new year. And this is just something that I found personally that works for me. And so this, I'm sorry for anybody else that this might be a tell for, but I always see this as a positive thing. When I have a lot of change and motivation is weird, and just like it's not necessarily a lot of I mean, obviously I have motivation problems, but it's not getting started. I usually don't have problems getting motivated, getting started. It's picking what I'm going to start with. And I'll burn all that time thinking of, okay, I want to do this, and then I want to do this, and I want to do this. And then the next thing I know, I spend all my time thinking about what I want to do. Where to help with my like OCD, if I just change something, like start with one change, like then I'm like, okay, then everything else falls in a row and it makes everything else easier to change after that.
Yeah.
And like my hair is the easiest thing to change that I don't that like
yeah.
so usually when I'm on a precipice of something, that either if I'm really stressed out and I've just been in a rut and I need to like elicit change, like cause change, or if I like this where I have a plethora of things and I don't know where to start, I will usually shave my head and or trim my beard down to almost nothing. Because I know, like, I was bald, like baby butt bald, a week, like less than a week ago, and so now I'm like, I have 5 o'clock shadow. This is almost like it's like another quarter inch away or eighth of an inch away from me, considering it. A beard. So, speaking of Mr. J, look at that.
Yeah, I just texted him. Mr. J is listening, I think, to 37. He just finished.
Oh, yeah.
So I just texted him. We're recording now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So we can acknowledge. So sorry. Go ahead.
So yeah. So last Monday, or last Tuesday even, because last Monday was Martin Luther King Day. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
So on Tuesday, when I took my shower, before I got in the shower, I just took everything off. And
did Ash know it was coming?
I told her I had prepped it leading up to the over the weekend. I was like, I think I'm going to shave. I'm thinking about, because my hair was getting really shaggy and I was due for a haircut anyways. And my beard was I needed to make the choice if I was going to commit to growing it out again or if I needed to trim it down, because my mustache was starting to get irritating again. And
yeah,
I fucking hate that mustache. Like, I hate that mustache. I wish I could just go to like Sam Elliott's mustache,
Yes.
Like from this to like Sam Elliott's mustache. That's what I want, but you can't do that. You can't go from like 5 o'clock shadow to that. You have to go through that shitty stage in the middle. And that shitty stage lasts forever, depending on how fast your mustache grows. So
I hate the way, like, I don't quite let mine get out that much, but what I struggle most with is like the ones that'll turn and poke you in the nose, or those strays you got to pull and it hurts.
I can handle it until I have to consume something. So until I have to like drink coffee, I go to drink coffee, and like my mustache always like runs coffee down the side of my mug, or it's like I always have coffee in my mustache, and it could be there for hours and I'll not know it. And then like Ash will be like, "It's in your mustache." I'll be like, "Oh my God, I ate soup like 4 hours ago. How did or like, you're going to eat a burger or something, and like you have to like pull your mustache out of your mouth so you can continue to chew."
I don't think I've ever got that far.
Oh, yeah.
When I was first starting to grow them, like in my late teens or whatever, my first beards, always, well, I could never trim them without screwing it up terribly and having to shave the whole thing off. But this trimming would always come after eating soup for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah.
First soup, it's gone.
Oh yeah, man. Soup is I gave up soup. I think my beard literally turned me off of soup. I can do stews, but I don't like soup.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about soup either.
Yeah,
we do a fair amount of stews and slow cooker stuff that I do enjoy, but like just straight up soup, maybe tomato soup with grilled cheese. I'll go for that.
Okay, yeah. But see, then you're gonna dip something in the soup, like that's different.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, that's important.
When you're like, what are we having for dinner? Butternut squash soup. Oh, cool. What else? No, that's what we're having. That's not a meal. That's bullshit. That's a course is what that is. I don't even on a diet drink. That's just a course. So yeah.
Oh, speaking of thick drinks, you want to crack a beer?
Yeah, let's do that.
I'm rocking one of my LWSD loot. that I got from the Beer Exchange in Des Moines, Iowa.
Oh, nice.
It is the Rheingeist.
Rheingeist.
It's turned away from me. Oh, the Panther.
Panther.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Next
A
Panther.
robust porter, which I thank you for.
Yeah.
How about you?
Stand by, man. Good old stand by.
Oh yeah. Fuck Panther Pabst.
Yeah. All right, ready?
Yes.
On three. 3.
Woo.
Oh, nice.
I had lunch with the bride actually, and I had a surly at lunch, which was divine. But I also meant like I took a nap. So I'm just getting back
Man, you have
into the day.
Oh wait, were you working from home today?
Yeah. So
Okay. So you could
hopefully
drink
no
at
one for
lunch.
my-
Yeah.
yeah, I actually technically could do so, and I have at work, but I it's not prohibited, but it feels wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they don't serve like on campus, but
Right.
you know, just off campus, it's easy enough. Actually, they probably do serve on campus. They do. What am I saying? In one place, but
Yeah, the
whatever.
union. Most student unions usually have like beer that you
Yeah.
can get in the student union.
And they have like a fancy restaurant thing for
Oh, yeah,
you know,
okay.
the fancy people, and I know that has stuff, but yeah, I can't be. It's hard to get stuff done if you're drinking away the day away.
So
anyhow,
yeah,
cheers.
cheers, man. Long walk, short drink. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Make sure that you're tuning in to iTunes, Google Play Music, or Stitcher to subscribe. Also, really want to push the YouTube channel. I was telling Dave before we got on, I'm catching up, and I am taking a page out of Moto's book, and I have totally switched to YouTube to listen to the show now, just because Dave keeps the video portion of this conversation in that, so you can see the trimmed down conversation in those episodes as well, and the bumpers at the beginning and really make it worth it. So really want to push the YouTube channel. Subscribe on there as well. That's LWSD pod on YouTube, or search Long Walk Short Drink. Subscribe. Make sure you click the bell to get the dinger every time we go live, so you know when we're doing these live shows, so you can join us in those as well. And follow us on Twitter at LWSD pod. Wait, I'm missing one. I forgot.
You can
Audibles.
email us.
Oh yeah. Audibles. But go to audibletrial.com/LWSD and sign up for your free audiobook.
Yeah, I got a recommendation, one of those today, which is maybe a larger topic, but I'll say it. This is our Audible portion.
Yeah,
So,
go ahead.
I just finished and was so sad that it was over. I loved it so much. The Disaster Artist. The movie or the book about the making of The Room, the famously bad movie.
Right.
I'm going to Audible Trial to get the whole thing and to tell you who it's written by and such. But I loved it so much. It's read by the author, who's one of the guys in the movie.
Right.
Sorry, I didn't have this in front of me. We'll have the full title momentarily. The Disaster Artist, My Life Inside the Room, the greatest bad movie ever made, by Greg Sestero with Tom Bissell, narrated by Greg Sestero, who is the Greg
Hi, Mark.
Greg is Mark.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Yeah.
I did not hit
man.
her. I did not.
I did not. I have been so down the rabbit hole of that movie, and I haven't seen the actual Disaster Artist film yet, though I think I'm finally going to do that next week. But because of hearing about it all these years finally, and then seeing the preview for the Disaster Artist film, I saw The Room, which I tremendously enjoyed, and then then immediately sought out the Disaster Artist book, which I just relished. I'm seeing now it's 11 hours and 38 minutes, and I only listened on my drives, and it's been like winter and snowy and kind of scary on the roads here, but nonetheless, I was like, I couldn't wait to drive to listen to this book.
Oh, that's awesome.
So if you would like to listen to this book as your free, along with a 30-day free trial to Audible, where you can listen to all kinds of books. I think every book we've mentioned on this show you can find on this service. Go to audibletrial.com/LWSD for a free goddamn audio book.
Hell yes.
All right. So,
Awesome.
and one more thing about the YouTube page that Palmer instigated, which I thought was a great idea, and I need to spend some time looking at, is there's a if you go to the main page, just search Long Walk Short Drink on YouTube and go to the channel. Near the top, there will be a featured sort of section called the LWSD Cast's Best of 2017 list. So in the last episode, Palmer and I talked about our favorite things that we discovered during that year. And then we translated those to YouTube playlists where we could find YouTube video equivalents or representations thereof. And Moto has also done his list. And
Double D and Twinkie, send me your lists. I feel I might have missed one. If I did, I'm sorry. Twinkie, I think if you did send me one, just send it again and I'll get it up there.
Yeah. So I think that's all the housekeeping of that sort.
Yeah, but those I you know what, we can do those anytime. Stuff like that. Which is great. So we should do like a monthly like staff picks or something like that, or where we just like something cool that we can link to in there.
Yes, and we do that. There's right at the top. There's the videos mentioned on the show, which you can find. That's kind of in reverse chronological order. So if we watch a video together or something like that, mention something specifically, you can find it in that section. But I was thinking too, like, I'm often doing a Dave's Digs or whatever, or Palmer's Pleasure. If we added to that throughout the year, anyway, but I think that's a great idea. I love that idea of,
and also too, Mr. J joined us. He's chatting right there on the screen, which is awesome.
Outstanding.
So,
What's happening, sir?
He says, look at these two morose motherfuckers.
So, looks like someone's shitting their Cheerios. Bong. I think that was close to right.
That's awesome. Oh man. So what else you got going on? You see anything good recently?
I have been, like I said, obsessed with The Room. I saw The Room, which is a notoriously bad film, but also somehow, like, it plays weekly in LA, I think, for all these years, and it had a new run. It's often in theaters. Yeah. And it is just a goddamn delight. It's so hilarious. It doesn't mean to be.
Right.
I thought about maybe watching that trailer with you at some point. So I watched that. The bride and I have also been we've been binging as well. It's not exactly true because we usually only watch one episode at a time, but almost every day we will watch an episode of it's not a reboot, Twin Peaks that came out on Showtime last year. I never would have guessed that she would be into this. I wasn't even sure if I was into it after a few episodes, but we both really did warm to it and have been really enjoying it. It's an 18 1-hour episodes, all directed and written by David Lynch. It's written with Mark Frost, the original creator. Much of the original cast shows up, and it's been really great. That's kind of, so I don't know if we've actually seen, yes, we watched Girls Trip, which was also the most hilarious movie I've seen in ages. And I'm not sure for reasons it intended, but I declared we're going to watch this movie every year on this day because I'll never stop getting stuff out of it. To be totally honest, we had some cake prior to that, which is not something we do all too often, and something that has a great effect on whatever it is we do with the evening. And so I think that was part of it, but I honestly think I would have enjoyed it equally without it, because I don't even know what to say. It's part like raunchy sort of hangover type, female hangover.
That's the booty hole movie, right? It's your booty hole. That one? Is that
yes. And there's so many just like, I can't believe this is rated R. That there's stuff that's like a Hallmark movie part of it. I don't know. I don't know what to say about it other than it was so bad it's good good. I don't know. It totally took me by surprise.
Wow.
But that's the sum total, I think, of the media that I have been focused on so far this year.
I think, we got some Redbox. We have got some Redbox rentals for a Christmas present.
Oh, like a gift card ish type situation.
Yeah, it was like 5 Redbox rentals, And so we kind of binged some movies. We saw we rented Logan Lucky,
Oh yeah, yeah.
which
Had you seen
man,
that in the
no,
theater
I
or?
did not get
Oh
to
yeah,
see it in the theater. Did you get to
that was
see it in
very.
it? Did you see it?
We did. We went. It was very fun.
Holy shit, was it fantastic.
Yeah,
Like every character in that was good. Like every person was great in it. And
absolutely.
we really Ash and I both agree that like right now Adam Driver is like our crush, like our Hollywood crush right now. Like he's
Yeah.
man, is he good. He's just an awesome actor. And he plays such a variety of characters, and especially that one was so different than other stuff that I've seen him in, you know. So we saw that. I saw the third Planet of the Apes movie, which that was fantastic.
Which one is that called? Is
that was
Rise? No.
what is it? There's Dawn of Planet of the Apes is the first one, right? And then shit.
I haven't actually seen any of those.
They're really good.
You know, I'm not super sure I haven't honestly seen any Planet of the Apes movie. Isn't that crazy? I should write that down.
You didn't even see the shitty reboot one with Mark Wahlberg?
No, I don't think I did. I don't think I've seen like clips of the original, you know, sort of, but I don't think I've seen any Planet of the Apes movie ever. I've heard that this most recent round, I've heard that they're all kind of great in their own way, but well, maybe not the Tim Burton one. I've heard less good things about, but
yeah, that I don't like that one at all. I have the original, like the original 5 in collection downstairs. Those are great. And then what is the Planet of the Apes? Wikipedia is Sarah James Franco. It's original for a new series of films. Yeah, so Rise of the Planet of the Apes is the first one. So there was Dawn of Planet of the Apes and War for Planet of the Apes. Duh.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was the third one, War for Planet of the Apes. Woody Harrelson was in it.
Oh yeah.
Andy, what's the guy's name that does
Oh, Circus? No,
yeah, Andy Serkis, yeah.
Yeah.
Plays Caesar, like the main ape in all 3 of the movies. And his performances are just fantastic anyways, and so he's really good. Yeah. Look at Mr. J says somebody needs to educate you on film. That is
I know.
oh man. So yeah,
that's partly what this show's for.
We saw that, and we saw this independent film that I had saw a blurb across last year, and I watched the trailer for it, and it looked really good, and so I wanted to see it. Called Patty Cakes, which I mean, it's a movie that's been done 85 times, like Precious or 8 Mile or anything like that. But it's about a girl who wants to be a rapper in New Jersey, and it's an independent film. That was okay.
Was that one of your Redbox ones?
Yeah, that was one of the Redbox ones. I'm trying to think what else we watched. Yeah,
we saw Dunkirk. We got that, I think, from Redbox or something, and I wasn't into it at first.
Yeah,
but I was by the end. I'll say that.
Okay.
I mean, that's one of those things where I don't know. I just I haven't been. I love the idea of certain movies, like in their, like who they come from and what they're going for, and but I'm just not always up for it or excited about that, what I perceive that experience to be. And I think a lot of times what I want from movies is the experience that I think I'm going to get, or to hopefully be surprised altogether. But yeah, at first with Dunkirk, I just didn't lock in, and then by the end, I really I cared about the characters and all that stuff, like you want to. But I was a little resistant to it at first.
Yeah,
but it actually got me to come around. Have you seen that one?
I have not seen that one, but that reminded me that I also, on a night that my insomnia was really bothering me and I couldn't sleep, I took your and Mr. J's advice actually and I've started, if I lay in bed for 2 hours and I can't sleep, then I'll get up. I should cut that down to like an hour.
Yeah, that's a long time.
It's a really long time. But I mean, I'm doing other stuff while I'm laying there trying to fall asleep, which is probably contributing to why I'm not falling asleep. But yeah, so one of those nights I went downstairs and watched Silence, the Martin Scorsese film that came out last year with
oh my God,
Liam Neeson and Adam Driver and Andrew
Garfield, right? Andrew
yeah.
Garfield.
Holy shit! Have you seen that?
No, I honestly I kind of forgot that it existed, but with the previews I saw, I was like a little scared of it. Like it looks so intense.
It is. It's ridiculously intense. I mean, I cannot. It's Martin Scorsese, so he's not going to shy away from the violence or anything like that. But I feel like with his any kind of violence, like not any kind of violence. Usually in his mob movies, the violence that's there is very stylized, like Quentin Tarantino's. Like you're watching a Martin Scorsese film, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it becomes a piece of the set. With this, it's just like it is quiet. It's very intentional. The violence is very intentional. He like puts your nose in the violence and like, and it just follows these two priests who are looking for their mentor in Japan because the emperor of Japan is trying to purge Christianity out of Japan. Like they see it as like they're losing he was afraid that they were going to lose their identity in this new religion. And so he started purging by basically slaughtering Christians. And they get notification that Liam Neeson's character, a Jesuit priest who was in Japan doing missionary work, had left the faith and joined like the Japanese, and they didn't believe it. And so they begged the diocese to go and try to bring him back. And they get to Japan and essentially are just like on the run and trying to not get killed and get a bunch of other innocent people killed. And it does not pan out. A lot of people get killed and tortured and it's constantly him they're trying to get him to break him, to like get him, Andrew Garfield, to lose his faith, to denounce his faith in front of these peasants so that the peasants will give up on Christianity. That's basically what it is. And how he won't do that.
Whoa.
And
oh man,
what the ramifications are from that. Another just amazing, stellar performance though by Adam Driver was awesome in that. Andrew Garfield was awesome in that. I mean, it was fantastic, but it's not like it's a one timer. you don't leave it like, man, I feel great about life. Like, right. I wonder, he has such an identity to his like Italianness, like he identifies with that so much, and it's so great because I feel like he explored that in like the profitable aspect of that with the mob stuff, but this stuff that he's doing like later on in his career where he's exploring that culture, like this one all follows, like it's all about Catholicism, you know what I mean, and a different branch of that Catholicism, and yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and that's always kind of been a threat. Well, I shouldn't say always, but it has crept up at times in his movies. I remember,
I mean, obviously, like Last Temptation of Christ, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah, yes, absolutely.
So,
yeah. And blanking on it, but Mean Streets. I haven't seen that in a long time, but I do remember that being the Harvey Keitel's character in the sort of in a church and wrestling. I think probably with the bad things he was doing, or maybe I think that's right. I might be. Now I feel like that's kind of crossing with Bad Lieutenant, which I saw the end of on mute again recently, which is so intense. Yeah. That was during Harvey Keitel's his whole run of movies in the early 90s, where he was constantly brought to the point of just like non-verbal grunting, emotive, just going like if you watch if you watch Bad Lieutenant, if you watch Reservoir Dogs, find anything he was in around that time. Eventually he gets to a place where he's just kind of doing this distinctive Harvey Keitel moan. That's kind of great. But
awesome.
yeah, it was in Amsterdam. I saw the Martin Scorsese exhibition at the Eye, and I had read I studied him when I was younger, like in my like 18, 19, 20, something like that. And I remember reading this book. I love this series of books where it's so-and-so on so-and-so. It's a director on themselves. So it's an interview based book. And the Scorsese on Scorsese I had read, and it talks a lot about he would alternate stuff like Mean Streets with some sort of small documentary project. And he did that a lot. Like, I wish I remembered more of them, and the book's downstairs, but he, like he would do something like even The Last Waltz, and then he'd do like a dramatic theatrical film. But when he was first starting out, there were a lot of shorts, and I had never seen them, and they didn't seem like they were readily available at the time that I was getting into him. And they had these things as part of the exhibit. So it'd be like his mother talking about how she cooked pasta. It was actually what one of these shorts really was. They were more like little family home movies / documentaries in a way. And you recognize his mother from that scene in Goodfellas where they come back with the guy in the trunk.
Oh, yeah.
She's like...
I love that scene.
What, are you always talking? I love that one too. I love Joe Pesci, or they're talking about the painting, and he's like, I like this one. One guy looks the other way, the other guy looks the other way, and then the guy's in the middle. He's like, what do you want from me? I just remember De Niro going like, hoofs at one point. That's where you need John Bernard to fill in the gaps.
Oh, shit.
I remember that episode of Palmer's Picks. It was just you and another guy that worked at WCTV besides me, John Bernard, watching. Like, he just rolled in, and it was an hour-long episode.
And it was clips.
And it was
he couldn't pick three movies. Yeah.
Right. Is that why it was? Oh, yeah, that's great.
He's like, I'm not picking three movies. He was like, no, I'm going to do it, but when I'm not picking three movies, like, this is how you described it to me, the interaction to me when you asked him. Like,
I didn't remember. Yeah, don't remind me. I liked it.
Yeah. So like, you had come to me and you were like, so John Bernard wants to do an episode, and I was like, awesome. And I was like, what movies is he gonna bring? And you were like, well, I asked him, and he was like, I'm not picking three movies. I'm just gonna have to do a clip show. There's no way I'm picking three.
Oh, that's great.
And I remember, isn't he the one like when we crack the Coke and we take a drink, and I was like, isn't it good? And he's like, it is good. Like,
yes, that's right. I also remember too, he did not want to bleep the cursing in the clips.
No.
And he did this like Nicholson like reading of when he said, it's like he gave some kind of disclaimer. And, he says, like, I work here, blah, blah, blah. This doesn't represent the station. And, it's public access or whatever. But he, like, looks right in the lens. And he's like, if you don't like it, you can always change the channel. It's like, whoa. He went real dark. I'm sure he was trying to elicit some effect. But I don't know if he meant it to be as sinister as it came out. But, yeah, it was awesome.
Oh, we have to.
And that was all just like... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, we have to post that episode. That now.
I know. I'm like, how do I get a hold of John Bernard?
After we talked about it this much, like
that's true. Yeah, I'll mark it.
He's still at the station. Like he's probably still at WC.
I know. He probably is.
Like
actually,
you could probably just like call there and be like, hey, but it's awkward because you haven't been there. You probably haven't talked to him in so long. So you're gonna have to do the like socially responsible thing and like catch up. You can't just be like, so
I got an agenda.
So hey, you remember Palmer? Yeah, we're doing a podcast now, and we want to reuse the show that we made 20 years ago. Oh, we can. Thanks. Bye. Like,
oh my God. Whoa, that will be 20 years next year. Oh my God. That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll post that show. It might get blocked on YouTube because it's so many clips, but who cares?
Oh, yeah.
But it's all like De Niro or Walken
It is a great show. It's a
God,
great
it
episode.
might just be those two actors. I feel like is that possible?
No, because I think he does have a Keitel scene in there. It's. I mean, yeah, just like I don't know. We got to. I'm gonna watch that episode when you post it because that is exciting. That's exciting.
I mean, it's great scenes. I mean, that's like they have the scene in the Deer Hunter with the young walking and.
This
walking. Yes, this is not something else. He's and then walking at the end of. He's like, "What's the matter with you?" They got the True Romance with Dennis Hopper.
Yeah.
Scene.
That's in there. Yeah, we'll have to post that show. That's a good episode.
Yeah, I make note of that. Of course, you can watch all of the Palmer's Picks we've so far posted on the Long Walk Short Drink YouTube page. If you go to that segment, Palmer's Picks, towards the bottom.
Unfortunately, what do we got to do to get a unique URL on YouTube? Don't you need like
you need at least 100 subscribers?
Oh, at least 100.
Yeah.
Oh well, we got to do a push. We can get 100 subscribers on YouTube if we do a push.
Yeah, help us out, people.
Yeah, subscribe on YouTube. Because then we could say go to youtube.com/LWSD.
That's right.
And then it'll be really easy. Now, instead of saying go to youtube.com/XBW,
it's long. Yeah.
#3YZ0. I don't know what it is. Like, don't go to that URL. That could be anything. Like,
yeah.
But no, that YouTube page, man, go there. There's all those WCTV shows that we posted up till now. We've posted some cabin videos up till, or some cabin era videos, not like videos of the cabin.
You can spot the cabin in there. Yeah. And I post a lot of the shorter stuff like that on Twitter, but maybe someday, especially once we get a website and stuff like that, we'll host that kind of thing someplace a little bit more private. Cause, yeah, I'm happy to share with the listeners of the show, but not necessarily have people stumble upon it that we haven't talked to in 20 years and be like, hey,
right.
What the F?
Right.
What the F? On YouTube. I've encountered a little bit of that. It's never fun.
I've been on the other side of that.
But where I post stuff and you're like, whoa.
No, not you. Other people who I've done projects with, trying to revive those projects. Like,
yes, you have.
Decades later, when I am on a totally different trajectory with my life. Yeah.
Yes.
Shit. We can't talk about that.
I know.
Because it will end up on Double D's list, and then it will end up posted somewhere, and then we'll have to. Then there's no taking it back. So,
yeah. What you did post recently from long ago?
Yes. Let's talk about that.
Maybe you can tell us about that. Yeah, that was a great surprise for me this week.
This is one of the reasons why I like kind of being a little bit behind, because I get to hear all the stuff that I talk about or that we talk about that needs to happen. But I'm drunk and I leave here and I eat another piece of cake when we're done recording, and then usually go into a food coma because I order the big deal from Cousin Vinny's and like pig out on cake in Cousin Vinny's and pass out. And then by the next morning, I forget all the stuff that I'm supposed to do. And so listening to these episodes in hindsight, I get to hear all those things. And now I'm trickling them out as I'm remembering some of that stuff. So one of the things that came up, and this is also a good segue, because for those of you who are following us on Twitter at LWSD Pod, you'll notice we have a new follower in there who is, I want to get the name right.
Yeah, it was carefully chosen.
Yeah, it was very,
Marvelous.
very, very, very carefully chosen. So it was. Let me see.
I feel like once you say what it is, I'll say what I'm thinking.
It's at LWSTIFFDPUMPS. So that's LW Stiff D Pumps. We talked about the picture of Pumps. That's Cabin Kid Pumps' Twitter handle. So be sure to follow him as well for any shenanigans he might be up to regarding a Long Walk Short Drink. I think this is just starting. by the way. Like
his
we have
his
him.
entry
He
in the.
already started commenting and stuff.
Did he really? Oh, that's great. Oh, that's too fun. What cracks me up is like he's got a LWSD pumps could not have been taken.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he made that choice.
Yeah,
To be like, I'm gonna be a stiff D pumps.
And so, so in the
He's sorry. First thing he does is make mention. Oh no, I thought he was making fun of me in a more aggressive way. He says Dave talks about boy with no mention of eagle versus shark or what we do in the shadows. Sad. He did a good job.
Yeah.
I have not seen either of those movies, though I must.
I said what we do in the shadows. I wanted to do a New Zealand comedy horror trilogy episode because there's 3 really good New Zealand comedy horror movies. What We Do in the Shadows is one of them. I can't think of the other 2. Like Deathgasm, I think, is one of them.
I'm remembering talking about this now.
Yeah, Deathgasm, and then the other one is I can't think of that. It's about a girl who's on house arrest and the house is haunted. And like all the shenanigans that like go on. She has to go back and live with her parents, and it's like her house growing up, and like she thinks that she has this like passage, like this pathway or this connection to the like afterlife, but there's shenanigans that happen. It's a really great movie. It's really funny, but I feel like Peter Jackson like established this legacy in New Zealand because like his early movies, like Bad Taste, those are those like comedy horror mashups, you know. And so these are 3 post Peter Jackson comedy horror mashups from New Zealand that I think are really doing well to like maintain that legacy. So you would absolutely love What We Do in the Shadows, though. It's like
I'm excited.
It's like The Real World meets Interview with a Vampire.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Whoa. I have seriously been thinking about ordering seasons of The Real World on DVD. Like the first one, like season 1. Yeah. I was thinking about getting.
I think the only season I would want would be the season with Puck in it because
that's a good one too.
Yeah.
I watched that show loyally for the first few years, and I don't know what got me thinking about it, but I was I looked it up, and DVDs do exist, so
yeah.
So probably only a matter of time. Real World meets Interview with the Vampire. Okay, sorry. So we were totally derailed. Yeah.
Back to Pumps. I heard in one of the episodes I'm catching up on, it came up again, the picture that I swore was in the book, but it's not. It's in my book. It's in my photo album of Pumps slamming another cabin kid's nuts into a flagpole, like over his shoulder. So I found that picture and tweeted that out. I found the picture I talk about a couple times a party that Cabin Kid Steiner and Twinkie were at with me, where we watched your first version of The Crow in high school, our freshman year. I found some pictures from that party also, and tweeted a couple of those out. Like I tweeted one out. The only one I had a Steiner had his high school girlfriend at the time on his lap, and so like that, she has a star over her face because I didn't. Yeah. I didn't feel like reaching. I didn't want to do the hey, I haven't talked to you in 25 years. I want to put your face on the internet, like. So I start out her face, so you can see like a sliver of Steiner's face. There's a picture
I totally recognize him
of me and Twinkie with a girl in between, like in the middle ground. Twinkie's in the foreground and I'm in the background.
She's making out with herself.
And she's making out with herself. We like that's how smooth we are.
It's so funny because Twinkie's kind of doing it too. It looks like.
Oh yeah.
And you're watching the girl like, oh
yeah. Oh yeah.
And this was something you did regularly at these parties, or do you remember this?
Like this is like the first. So I had a group. I hung out with a group of friends, which I don't want to say. I don't want to make it sound bad, but like, so that kid's house that party was at, we partied hard, like really hard in like even in middle school, we were doing a lot, like drinking regularly, and smoking, like we smoked cigarettes all the time, and as much as we could. We didn't do any drugs. We just drank a lot and smoked. And as we started to get into high school, we had one of those parties, and I got really super drunk and threw up and was and like freaked out and was worried I was going to become my dad, become an alcoholic. And so I went the next like so many years until I met up with the cabin kids. I still hung out with that group of friends, like in that group of friends, like blossomed, and they all in around partying, and I was like sober all the time at those parties while everybody else like got schwazied, because that first party, like very early on, I got hammered and threw up and got really paranoid. So I just didn't drink anymore. And it really started to get old, and we just kind of, I parted ways a little bit with that group. I still, of course, talk to those people all the time, but that's when I kind of like, in that transition time is when I met up with the cabin kids. And so that party, yeah, we did do parties at that house a lot, but Steiner and Twinkie didn't come to very many of those, because once we really started going in high school, once that house really started going in high school, it really just became like we were just drinking all the time, and not drinking all the time, but it was in, as far as my class goes, it was like one of the houses you could go to where you knew you could drink, so
yeah.
And like, it's not like we partied every weekend, but we had regular parties, and like,
yeah, that's kind of what I think a lot of people's high school experience probably was.
Yeah.
So I understand.
So, but that's that house. And so
I wondered if that was, because I was trying to extrapolate that, the whole thing with the TV against the wall and then the couch to its right, as you're looking at it, like, reminded me of when you lived in the basement of your mom's house and stuff. And so I was like, is that what that looked like before you built all the other stuff? But okay, so this is someone else's house. Yeah, this was, and then the idea to me that this gathering of people also watched that thing that I made is so bizarre and awesome.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. Wow, it's 1995. Twinkie looks the same.
Exactly the same. I think his hair is actually thicker, the son of a bitch. Like,
I know. That's so funny.
I mean, thicker now, not thicker back then. Like it.
No,
like,
yeah, of course, yeah.
Son of a bitch. He's probably just running around Denver, just like with his crowbar and his like jeans and no shirt, just like beating the shit out of people, just like. One of these days we're gonna wake up and we're gonna turn on the news and we're gonna be like, so
this just in, new reporting that Denver has become a wasteland, a no man's land, and one lone survivor. It's a young man, we can see here. It looks like we have a mullet and jeans and a crowbar. That's all we can see. That's all we can make out.
Man, that guy. I want to make a post-apocalyptic movie starring Twinkie in the mullet. That's what I want to do.
Oh, that'd be great. I was totally thinking some kind of Mad Max vibe.
Yeah.
There. I've talked about it on the show before, but one of the podcasts I listen to, I think my Pumps and maybe Logan, maybe just Logan. I don't know. Some of the other guys listen to it as well, called The Fighter and the Kid, and it's a retired UFC fighter, Brendan Schaub, I think is how you say his last name. I see Ash. Oh. And then a comedian that I really like called Brian Callen. And they talk about fighting and stuff, but they also just talk about bullshit. And it's a very fun dynamic. But I brought that up because I got distracted when I saw Ash. Shit. What? Oh, no. Oh, yes, that's where I was going with it. At a certain point, it's a tremendously popular podcast, and they have a very large following, and oftentimes people will make ads for the show, like the episodes that, or for they do live shows as well, not that are podcasts, but like kind of comedy nights, I guess.
Yeah.
And they'll take a poster from a movie and replace the faces with their faces or do some kind of spin on it.
Right.
And so I was starting to imagine, like Mad Max, any of the Mad Max films with like Twinkie's face in it.
Oh,
and I just want to have better Photoshop skills to pull this off.
Now I'm going to have to write a short, I think.
Oh, yes.
We'll write a short and then we'll go out for a summer project. Not this summer. I don't think it'll be too soon this summer. But maybe summer of 19, we can take a 2-week vacation and go out to the desert and shoot a post-apocalyptic movie with Twinkie. Twinkie, don't just keep it up on the mullet, Twinkie. Don't cut the mullet at all.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just let it keep growing and keep your calendar open in the summer of 2019. Because we're going to make a I can't even say it. I've said it too many times. Post-apocalyptic movie. Oh,
Easy
man.
for you to say. Yeah. That's... Oh, I like it.
That's going to be great.
I can't wait. I want to start doing those posts. No. Well, I do want to start doing those posters. Oh, it'd be amazing.
We got to find
Like
our
those
own thing, though. We can't do
movies
movie
and- I know,
posters because
yeah.
they do their thing. That's their thing. We should
That's
do our
true.
own thing.
We'll come up with our own thing. That's good. Speaking of this, I don't know if this is speaking of either, but I was still looking at the Twitter page. I posted on the Twitter page a link to where you can listen to the LWSD soundtrack, which is something that I pulled together and gave to the cast members when we met up in Des Moines. But it's essentially for the, well, I don't know if it was a full year, but for a good long while, Moto was killing himself to basically score each of the shows with music that was somehow commenting on what we were doing, and a lot of it was very like, he has such an insight to all of the history that we talk about in terms of our private lives and even the show, because he's so familiar with the show through editing it and stuff. So it people have themes. Of course, the Long Walk Short Drink theme is on there, and so we weave that together into a kind of a mixtape of sorts that you can listen to on mixcloud.com/DOL records. And if you go to that link or go to our Twitter, you can see it. And it was fun. I had fun putting it together.
And it's
Apropos of
fantastic.
nothing, but yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just
Awesome.
staring at that now.
Yeah,
I've been
no.
meaning to do that for a while, and it's finally done. But that old Twitter page is coming in handy with the old photo. I like you created that new hashtag of LWSD history.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait to add more to that.
Well, I think that that's going to be, going through that notebook, I found there is a whole series of photos from us shooting the intro to WPLMR.
Wait, do you mean the Mind of Philip with when we had the 16 millimeter camera, or Palmer's
Oh,
Picks? Because PLMR was the podcast.
Oh yeah, Palmer's Picks. I'm sorry, Jesus.
Oh, really?
Did I wear the horsefly shirt in the intro to Palmer's Picks or to Mind of Philip?
That was Mind of Philip, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I have a whole series of photos from us shooting that intro.
Oh, cool. I have some, but they're not. Oh, that's great. That's really cool.
I have that whole series of photos, like I said, that I call the last cabin night, which isn't even a cabin, but that was like the last time that the whole group, I felt like it was before the first person left for college or the military, or it was the last chance that we all had to be together.
Yeah, once you said that in the text, I think I equated it to a certain moment in the one video where, because there's a shot from that night, and it was in Sharon Center, right? That
I believe it's that gazebo, and the sheriff showed up that night. Do you remember? And like we told him that it was like the last night that we had to all be together, and he's like, "All right, don't get in trouble. Like, don't."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And he left. He didn't make us leave or anything. He was kind of cool about it.
we used to get in so much trouble for just hanging out in places or taking pictures in places rather. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a moment where Pumps is standing on top of something and saluting, and it's so iconic to me is because I don't know what he could have been standing on, but he essentially looks like a statue because he's elevated like that and in that place, like that's what a statue. And of course, it was right before he went into the military, and then there's a shot of Twinkie walking away in like a long coat, and he didn't move away though, or did he go someplace? It felt like a goodbye of sorts.
He went to, because he didn't join the church until after the fact, right? Like, I think he went to college. I think he went to Akron or something.
Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I came across too. Well, no, I want to hear more about this photo book. Then I'll mention my LWS history.
Well, I mean,
this is a whole photo album of
I have a whole photo album
that's
just full of like crap from that era. There's like
you should just spring shit on us from time to time. I love it.
Birthday party. There's a birthday party in there where I have like the Coca-Cola kid cake on there. There's poker night pictures in there. There's Halloween party pictures, like the Blair Witch party pictures in there.
Oh yeah, I dropped the ball. I was going to post that on Halloween this year, and I forgot to post that.
There's just a ton of stuff in these photo albums, and I found this amazing app that Google put out that's called Photo Scanner, I think is what it's called.
Really? I was wondering if you just snapped a photo or what to get those.
is what it's called. So this app is really you can play the learning from the internet theme right before this.
Learning from the internet. Ever wish you knew how to do something? Bored with your current station in life and want to change directions? Ever wonder how the hell to learn a new hobby? Then get off your ass and grab that supercomputer out of your pocket. The internet is filled with people just living for views and clicks. They want to trade their knowledge for exposure. So, Palmer's on a mission to prove that with access to YouTube and Google, you can learn how to do anything. So join him as he learns from the internet.
So this app is called PhotoScan. It's put out by Google, and you basically I'm trying to figure out if there's a way I can get back to the tutorial for it. But you see how there's like, it looks like your normal camera, right? Mm-hmm. But you would hold that over the picture and you press the button like you would normally take your picture. Oops, stop. Oh, wait, it showed it. All right. So do you see those dots on there?
Yeah.
I'm trying to see like
I can see at least one.
They're like AR. If you did it over the picture, do you see those like hovering right there?
Oh, it's low. No. Just kind of up and closer to you. Oh yeah. Oh, and then it went. I saw something.
Let me just do this. And then.
Oh yeah, like it almost looks like a dice. Like you will.
So it will put those dots. Geez, it will put those dots on the picture. So I took my notebook and opened it to a blank page and put the picture on that, so it definitely knew where the corners were of the photo.
Oh yeah.
And then you move the camera over those dots, and it basically will compile those pictures together into one awesome version of that picture.
Whoa.
So I use my camera, my phone camera to get a scanner quality scan of
that's great
that picture. So, and it took 30 seconds, and then I had it in my phone saved to my camera roll, and I could do anything that you could do with a normal picture in your camera roll. Like I tweeted those from my phone. Like
sure, yeah. What was that app again?
Photo Scan. This was actually, I should have told you about this sooner because I know your notebook, like you could digitize your notebooks. Like you could digitize a notebook probably in an hour. If you just went from like photo to photo and like,
did that. I had this beautiful, like professional grade printer scanner that I got like 2 years ago. The bride got it for me. And it just up and died a few weeks ago in this bizarre way where it started up and an error came up. They're like, you have to call, if power it down, power it back up. If it doesn't come back up, you have to call the manufacturer. And and then I drove it like an hour away, and they told me essentially it's going to cost $400 to fix this thing, which of course is more than the printer's worth.
Yeah.
So I'm like, God damn it. So I'm glad to hear this, because when I thought more about it, it's like, yeah, I want a printer, but more than that, I want a scanner. So this will do in the meantime.
Yeah, well, especially if you're doing photos. And then, like I said, I took so I have my notebook here.
Oh, that's big.
Just went to a blank white page and put I didn't tape it or do anything. Obviously, if your photo's curled or whatever, you'd want to like straighten it out, but I just laid it on there and used that thing, and it I mean, you see the pictures on Twitter. That's what they look like.
Yeah, they look great. That's terrific. Yeah. Well, I certainly would love to see more from that notebook.
So I think just periodically, I'm just going to do a LWSD history that, if it doesn't have to do with the cabin, but you still want a way to reference or to easily hashtag it. I think even the cabin stuff. I don't know. Maybe I would hashtag that like LWSD cabin.
Kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just checking that one. Oh yeah, there's some stuff.
So
that's awesome. It's good to hear learning from the internet.
Yeah. I actually there might be another, well, it's more of my Palmer's pleasure than
hit me with it. Yeah, I'm ready.
Well, no, as another learning from the internet, essentially, but we don't have to do that right this second. I'm trying to think. Well, I guess we could do a Palmer's pleasure. You got a Dave Dakes?
I think the room would probably be mine. So I can look that trailer up. But yeah, tell me.
All right.
Tell me what you got.
Well, another segment, I guess, to replace the smoking stats.
Oh yeah,
would be. I guess this is kind of growth for 2018. Is just instead of smoking stats, we would check in on like what action steps I've completed since the last check in on my goals. Right.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And so
we're calling that health stats or
I don't know, like 2018 like action steps. That's what I would call it, because like I have goals that aren't just about my health. Like I have goals like to start the empire, the Long Walk Short Drink empire.
Oh yes, yeah. We should come up. Action steps is good.
Yeah.
I love it. I was going to ask you about some of that, but I was like, it's been 2 weeks.
No, but I mean, you have to start going on it, right? And so so I mean, like part of that, like I got my like.
Oh yes, the subtle art. Not
like I have not gotten that far in it, but so far I've read this and I would like. The reason I haven't gotten so far in it is because I've only kept it in the bathroom. I need to pull it out of the bathroom and actually commit some time into finishing it. But the little bit that I have read though, which is funny because I don't waste time in the bathroom. Like I go in, I poop, and I get out. Like. So usually by the time I just find where I left off, I'm like, okay, we're done pooping now. But the couple times where I have stayed in and read it, I go downstairs and I look at Ash and I'm like, babe, you need to read that book. It is gonna wreck your world. But I mean, I'm of course am like I don't know yet. Initially that's the impression I'm getting, but like it is very. It is very. It's the same thing with like the Easy Way to Stop Smoking by Alan Carr that I read when I was trying to quit smoking. A lot of it is stuff that you already know so far. It's just really reassuring to see it like put in print and that somebody else. It's validating to know that somebody else not only sees it that way, but like they were able to publish talking about seeing it that way. So, which is reassuring. So. Started that. That's one action step. I started shave my head and my beard. That was another action step to like initiate the changes.
Is that a little bit of a reminder to you as well? Like you see you look different. And you're like, hey, that's like a reminder to do everything.
All of those things. Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. That's very true. see here. What else did I have? Close. I'm just looking at my goals.
I'm just looking up I was going to do the audibletrial.com and list that book again. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yeah.
That's such a great title.
Mark Manson.
Mark Manson. That's a cool name too.
Oh yeah. So let's see here. Oh, so the woodshop one is what I'm going to talk about is my Palmer's Pleasure.
Oh, good. I was literally just thinking about that today or yesterday. I was like, I wonder if Palmer has worked in his woodshop.
Other action steps. So I sent you the new mock-up for the logo. I have some ideas with that. So nobody else gets to see this, but we can talk about it. Kind of tease. I sent it out to Double D just for him to see it too. But
I'll bring it up.
Yeah, bring it up so that I can talk to you about what I'm. So I got some feedback from a graphic designer at my job.
Really?
Yeah, at my job. And
That's great.
So I sent her this, and I was just like, "Can I just get some feedback on this logo?" And she, it was on like a instant message service that was like an inner office instant message. I sent it to her and said that. Because she had asked, she's like, "So you're still doing your podcast?" Like we had crossed paths at lunch, and I told her, "Oh yeah," and I said, "Actually, I'm working on some stuff for that today, and I would love to get your feedback on that." She's like, "Yeah, send it my way." So,
Great.
I sent it to her, and she kept, you know how like when you text or whatever, and you can see when they're typing in some way, like it lets you know they're typing.
Yeah.
And then it lets you know when they stop typing, like you can see when they stop typing, you know? And so if they,
I don't know if I knew that.
if they type for a little bit and then they stop and then nothing comes in, like they obviously deleted whatever they had been typing, right? And so it kept doing that, like where it would like look like she was typing for a while and then it would stop and then it looked like she was typing and then it stopped. And I was like, I just got up and went over to her cube and I'm like, you're not gonna hurt my feelings. Like seriously, like that's why I want the feedback. And she's like, "Oh no." And I looked at her screen and she had like a big thing of text like talking about it in there that she had just been pausing to like gather her thoughts. But the first word she's like, "I have to tell you," she's like, "just looking at this, just looking at it." And she like points to all these wedges, you know? She's like, "Just looking at this, I want to know what you guys are about." She's like, "This is
really."
She's like, "This is a really strong. It's really strong."
Oh, that's nice.
So that action step, I did that logo. I shopped around. I really like those two sites that I sent you, one for the online store and one for the website design.
Yeah, I thought that was great. Does the online store, one thing I couldn't find for the online store quickly was if it allowed for people to order the designs and have them shipped to them directly? Or
yes, I think that's how it works. Yeah.
Awesome. I figured.
So basically what all we'll end up doing is putting a URL to our storefront there.
Yeah.
We go in. So this was some of the stuff too that I wanted to talk to you about. I have a couple ideas for some really awesome merchandise, but I really like, there's a million different things that you can put your logo on. I really think like mouse pads, ball caps, t-shirts. Like, yeah, I think those are like,
I think shot glasses would be good for long walk, short drink for the square because it's a short drink.
Yeah. And
but that's all
like pint glasses, shot glasses, and wait, there was one more thing that I was thinking that we would
sweatband.
Koozies.
Koozies,
like,
yeah, that's perfect.
Koozies.
Yeah.
So not a ton of merchandise up front, but I have this and then we would do do a logo on all of those things. Then also have the long walk, short drink, the blank, whatever it is. So long walk, short drink, the strap shirt, long walk, short drink, the shot glass, like all that stuff.
I love it.
I have this idea for a shirt though that's just like it's the lyrics from the theme on there, where it's like long walk. So it would say long walk, fucking short drink, and then I want DRI to wrap around
Oh, that's great.
onto the back, so that when it comes on the back, it ends here, and then like on the back.
That's great.
I
love it.
So gonna get that rolling. So I got those action steps. I haven't so I've decided on those 2 sites. That's as far as I got with that stuff. The logo was as far as I got with any of the graphic stuff that I wanted to do yet. That actually, so that's
a lot in 2 weeks.
long walk, short drink goal. What else do I have on?
Jesus.
Finances. Ash and I are doing okay. We're on track with that. Got my self-improvement book I'm working on for January. Have not started any writing stuff yet. And then so for my Palmer's Pleasure, I have not like been in my wood shop, but I've been doing so. I wrote out all the action steps that I was aware of at this point. I know there will be other action steps that I need to accomplish that I'm not aware of yet, that as I'm going through and trying to work towards my goals that I'll be aware of, and I will add those as action steps. But I spent a day where I just went through all of these goals, and I was just like, just a bulleted list of, you need to do this and 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 this for those things to happen. And one of the big things for my wood shop that was preventing me from completing projects, well, the major being that it needs organized, which I'm still working on. But then the second thing was I had a couple tools that I need to make so that I can do some projects that I want to get done. And so I spent the last 2 weeks working, like rediscovering this program that I use called SketchUp, which is like a 3D rendering program. Here's another learning from the internet. So this is my Palmer's Pleasure is the program SketchUp. It's free. There is now an online component, which they don't really tell you how to find the downloadable versions. But they're there if you need to know, and like just hit me up at LWSD pod on Twitter, and I'll be sure to show you how to find the downloadable versions, the legit downloadable versions of SketchUp. But there's also a web-based version that you can do everything online, and it will save all of your SketchUps like in the cloud, and you can access them from any computer. You just go to the website and log into your account, and then you get them. So this program, which I'm going to switch to a screen share.
Oh.
Your entire screen share. Okay. So I should be sharing now, and now it's probably an infinity window. No. Okay. Oh, they say
Long
you.
walk, short drink. Yeah. The infinity window.
The infinity window. So this is what SketchUp looks like. Which is just wait, I'm going to switch to this so that it stays on me. Remind me to undo that so that it goes back to cameraman.
Oh yeah.
So this is SketchUp, and so I love this program because I am a novice woodworker. I'm just learning, and so I realized when I started building my workshop that I was going to waste a lot of lumber and money learning, and that I needed to find that was starting to get discouraging. And so I stumbled across this program that essentially lets me do anything I would do in my wood shop, so I can figure out all of my cuts and everything before I actually cut any actual wood.
Oh, nice. Yeah, what's it? Measure twice, cut once.
Yeah, exactly. So let me go here. Tools. So I'm just gonna take, and let's say I'm gonna draw this rectangle right here, and suppose we want that to be a 2x4. So we'll say, if you look down here down here in this corner, you'll see that it's 7 feet.
Oh yeah.
8 foot 5 6/16 and 1 foot, right? I want to change that though to a 2x4 length. So I'm going to make that 96 inches long. And then I want to make it 3.5 inches wide. Okay.
Mhm.
And then if we zoom in, now I have a 2-dimensional rectangle, and I want to make that a 2x4. So that needs to be 1.5 inches tall. So I'm going to go through and I can take this tool and then I can move this 1.5 inches. If you look, now I have a 2x4,
Oh, wow.
right?
Yeah.
And if I want to, like, let's suppose down on this, suppose on this corner, I wanted to do a miter cut. I could do a component. And then suppose I wanted to do like a 45-degree angle. I could go here to my tape measure, and we can go. And I'm going to go draw a line. And then I can take this, and now I have a miter cut on the end of that 2x4. You see that?
Yeah.
So I can. Okay. So that's a really quick introduction to what SketchUp is. But now let me show you what you can do with SketchUp. In working with this program, prior to discovering this program, I had built these. So this is a copy of, This is a copy of my workbench, which I'll have to tweet pictures of that out.
I'd like to see that.
I built 3 of these, and I built them all prior to knowing what Inkscape was. So there are 3 of these right now that exist in my basement.
You have 3 workbenches?
Yeah, so these are modular. The reason I designed these this way was so that these holes here are the size of a 2x4. So you can take, if I tools view component, where's the no, cancel, close. Insert component. Where is that at? See, I'm still learning this program. Sorry.
Oh, that's I can't begin to.
I closed this pane out over here where that button was, and now I can't figure it out.
Oh, I hate that sort of thing.
Yeah. Section planes 5 component edit. Anyways. But basically you can take 2 of these and butt them side by side and put a piece of 2x4 in between the 2, and then this is a bolt hole. You use that bolt to run that through the 2x4 on both of the tables, and then it locks them together. So then your 2x4, you put 2 2x4 tables together long ways, and you'd end up having a 2x8 foot long table, right? Or if you put them long, like the long sides together, you'd have a 4 foot by 4 foot. And if you put 4 of them together, then you would have an 8 foot by 8 foot table, right? Or an 8 foot by 4 foot table. And so that was the whole reason I have such a small space downstairs in my basement that I needed to be able to move it around if I needed to. And there's wheels on the bottom of them, so they roll.
Oh, nice.
And so I built 3 of these, and that's the bulk of my wood shop. And so I've been building tools that center around these benches. Like I built a. Do you know what a compound miter saw is? Or a chop saw?
I do not, but I'm going to make note of that and say it in front of my father-in-law.
You know what it is. You would know what it is if you saw it. It's one of those saws that like the blade spins really fast, and it's like on a lever. and they like push down and it cuts the wood when they push it down.
I can't quite picture, but you're probably right. I'm sure I've seen it at some point.
So I built a thing that a little stand that bolts into one side of a table here. Can you see my mouse when I move it?
I do. Yeah, that's cool.
It bolts into one side of the table over here into these holes, and then the table that the miter saw sits on, and then you bolt another table into the other side of that thing, and then it turns the it's called zero clearance, where I could slide a board all the way across the bench that's over here, across the saw onto the other bench, and it's all the same plane. So it makes it really easy and nice to like cut wood in this thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, I build tools around these benches. So I had 2 tools that I need for the projects that I have planned. One of them is a table saw, and one of them is a planer, so that I can get a group of boards that I'm going to glue all together the same level all the way across. All right.
Yeah.
And so once I built my benches inside this program, they're like objects that I can just quickly add. I don't need to rebuild them every time. I can take in like a rubber stamp, just add another one of these benches so that I can start working with it.
Oh,
So
cool.
if we go down here, this is one of the benches with the table saw design in it. So
this is what you mean by building tools off of the benches?
right. So if we look, like if I go here, this is me. Actually, we can go this way. So if I go and select this and that and move, I can take this and slide this out, and then you'll see how this works. So there's these 2 posts right here.
Yeah.
They slide into the table, into the bench, into those holes. They match up to those holes right there. And then I'll drop a bolt down, and then it locks this tool onto that bench. And when I'm done using the table saw, I can take this off and store this piece, and I still have a bench for something else, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So this hole that's right here, I have a table saw, like a contractor's table saw. It's really small, that will fit inside this hole that makes it then this big. That's as big as this like bench, right?
Yeah.
And this is going to be my fence that you would use. So let me show you how this works. This is the other reason why I like this program, is because once you learn the program, you can really make your models function. So if we look, like this board is going to be attached, and then it has this 90 degree, this like 45 degree angle here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so the fence will lock into that angle. You see how it slides?
Oh, yes.
Right. And then you see in the top of the frame, you see how the fence moves too.
Mm-hmm.
So if I pull this in like this, let me go here. Sorry, it's all 3D space, so it's really awkward to maneuver it sometimes.
No, it's kind of impressive that you can do it.
So I slid the fence over. It's probably easier if I do it like this. So so it would basically function like this, right? And then when I want to lock it, I'm going to put a little lever in here, and that lever will push against this board right here, and it will lock it in place. And then I can use the table saw, like the blade will be right here, basically.
Yeah.
And I can use and run my work right up against this piece of wood, right? So I made that.
Something vaguely sexual about that freeze.
Another action step that I completed with the woodshop thing is I decided I'm going to make a show, like a small show where I'm going to record myself making these projects in my woodshop.
Oh, outstanding.
And put them on our YouTube channel.
That's terrific.
I think I'm going to call it My Wood or Wood or something like that. Like,
yes, that's great.
So,
oh man. Terrific. That's so cool.
But the whole thing slides. So if I go like, let me see. Oh, yeah. So if I it locks basically. So that lever will be there and it'll move forward, and then that lets me move it in and out.
Yeah.
And then when I push that lever down, it'll move back into place up against those things. And then it's good to go. And it'll be locked in place because there's one up there and here. So this is all this is all concept, right? I have to build this now and make sure it works. I don't know if it's going to work.
Yeah.
So that's the table saw, and then this is the planer table that I made. So these, it's basically 3 pieces. There's 2 of these pieces right here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to have knobs on here. It's just so intensive to like build that stuff in here, but I'm going to put a knob and then cut a channel in this. So basically these 2 rails right here can raise up or be flush. They can be as low as flush with the tabletop and be raised. I think I have this right now. It'll go all the way up to like 20 inches tall. Right. And then, this thing right here, this piece basically will run on those rails. Do you let me zoom in right here. You see this right here, how it like bells around those rails. So what that does is, if say I put like I glue 5 boards together and they're not going to be perfectly flat across those 5 boards, right? And so if you have a planer, like a thickness planer, it's really easy. You just feed the boards into the thickness planer and it shaves them down to the thickness that you want it to be, right? I don't have, they're really expensive though. They're like the cheapest ones are like, even on Craigslist are like $200.
Oh.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this where this piece basically will ride on those. There, I got to keep highlighting it. Will ride on those rails like this.
Oh yeah.
Right. And then inside this, what I'll put is my router. There'll be another channel cut in this that will allow a router bit to fall down in that. And I can slide my router. The thing that sucks is you can only do 1 inch at a time because the biggest router bit that I can find is 1 inch. But you basically 1 inch at a time, I'll slide that down and go, I'll do 1 inch and then slide it down and do another inch. And as I move down my workpiece, it will flatten. It keeps the router at the same height so that it ends up leveling all those boards to that same thickness because the bit will stay the same height the whole way across. Does that make sense?
Well, in as much as, as it can.
Yeah. So I took those 2 pieces. The table saw and the router fence. And then you need to know like how much lumber you need to buy for those things. So these are my cut lists, which I was able to take and I print those. I basically took all of the boards and you lay them flat and it lets me know like, so this is a sheet of 3/4, I think. Yeah. So that's 3/4 plywood. So I know now I need to buy 4 sheets of 3/4 inch plywood, and I need 3 sheets of 1/2 inch MDF. And I know how many 2x4s I need to buy, and I know how many 2x6s I need to buy. So I can just take this to Home Depot, buy that much wood, and then come back. And I've done all the cuts and all the planning and all that stuff. So I just have to follow it and put it together. And I'm not wasting time in the shop because I've spent that time quickly doing it in SketchUp. I'm not wasting that time trying to figure it out in the shop. And a lot of the makers, since I discovered this program, a lot of the makers that I watch on YouTube, they offer SketchUp files. They either sell them or they just offer them for free. If anybody wants my SketchUp files, I'll just give them to you. I'm not at the point where I'm selling stuff yet. But yeah, I've fallen in love with that program again because now I'm like ready to get down there and do stuff in my wood shop. So
that's so cool. Please send us pictures, and I'm excited about Palmer's wood. The t-shirt possibilities thereof, and of course to be able to see you make stuff. I don't think he listens. Maybe he's heard only parts of it, and we haven't been in very regular contact like in the recent months or whatever. But Krams is a builder. He likes to build things. I know, which is a new development. At least like I don't remember that being the case.
Awesome. That's spectacular. I would. Yeah, that's actually kind of funny because Krams and I always said that we were the same person. He was just half my size. And it's funny that we both kind of has stumbled into that independently of each other. Wow.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to I'm seeing what you make.
I need to get out of just like, that's why I had to set the goal of making and I don't consider those projects. Those are just so I can do my projects. So like those are action steps. Like that was one, designing those tools. Like I've had that table saw. I've been rolling around that table saw, like trying to figure out how I was going to do that for the last year. And it just like, I finally was like, no, we got to figure this out so that I can move forward, And so, so that was good.
That's cool. I'm excited about, I'm not sure what it should be, but some sort of theme song for Action Steps. That's like an action movie theme.
Oh, yeah.
I don't quite know how, like an explosion or something. Actions, I don't know. But I like that idea. And that's a kind of a great, I mean, you have to break stuff down into like stuff that you can do. And you've, God damn, you've done an awful lot since we last talked in terms of like taking first steps towards all these goals.
I've been trying to articulate it, and I know goals. Like Mr. J sent me some feedback because he listened to the 2018. He's like, I love your goals. He's like, those are really specific. It's really great that you have like numbers in there, like three woodshop projects. Like that's really going to be beneficial to you. And I was like, I had to remind him, I was like, I was a teacher for 10 years. Like I know how to write awesome goals. I know what a SMART goal is, and,
oh yes. What's it? It's
like,
measure. What's the first one? Sustainable, measurable, actionable.
Yeah.
Trackable. What's the T? Trackable.
Time.
No.
There has to be a time piece.
Time. That's right.
And, so I was like, I know all that. And I've lived with, like, I've had a goal to lose weight my entire life.
Yeah.
And
it's a long time frame.
It's something that I realize that goals, you can have 1 million goals. They are meaningless. They mean nothing. All they should do is steer your action. I built that wood shop. I built those benches the summer after Ash and I got married, so 2015. And after I built those benches and got the wood shop together, it pretty much fell apart. Like I just stopped doing stuff in there because I didn't see like that was enough. But since then I've thought about all the amazing projects that I want to make and setting goals for myself on making those projects, while it just collects dust. So it's one of those things where I'm tired of focusing on goals. I feel like I did that my entire life. I focused on goals. I focused on goals so hard that it was more important to focus on the goals, and those became rewarding. Thinking about like how awesome it would be to meet this goal while I'm sitting in my chair, baked out of my mind, letting my life go by as I like a YouTube video at a time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I can, I can write an amazing goal and I can think about that goal all day long. But if all I do is think about that goal and don't actually put any action with it, it doesn't do any good. So,
right.
That's why I keep coming back to this action steps. Like it's about action. Like goals aren't good enough for me anymore. I need to I need to look back and be like, what action did you do that that's tangible that you can show another person, and then that shows that you actually did something, as opposed to I can daydream all day long about something, and it'll never get closer to happening no matter how much I think about it. I gotta actually do it,
Yeah. There's a Bruce Lee quote, something to do with be a practical dreamer backed by action. And that was a guy that, I mean, that dude reached sort of some pinnacles of human accomplishment in terms of
Right.
physical,
Right.
like people look at him and he's like, you just think like, well, he's Bruce Lee, but like, yeah, but he built himself into that through many goals and all that stuff. So, but the whole thing was action, always action. So it's fun for me to hear about that from the Bruce Lee podcast and also from my old buddy. But it's really impressive. Like your action steps in 2018 are many. It's pretty cool. It must feel good to get that kind of momentum.
Well, and it also is, it is, that's for sure. It's nice to also hear somebody else say like, oh, because like it's easy to say, oh, you haven't done anything but play on a computer program and read the first chapter of a book. But it's like all of those things they're also baby steps that will all build on each other. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I think that's the other thing about a goal. Goals can really be discouraging because all you see is the end result. A goal only encompasses the end result. It doesn't really encompass like, of course, like we're going to do this, and this, but it's the action steps that support that goal. And I keep saying action steps because there is like in a school, you have a continuous improvement plan, and so your continuous improvement plan is you write a goal, and it's supposed to be a SMART goal. And then below that, there's going to be bullet points. And those are all the things that you're going to do to achieve that goal.
Mm-hmm.
And so in my head, like what I'm envisioning is like this like continuous improvement plan of Palmer where I have all my goals listed. And it's like, once I put them on paper now, they don't matter because I'm only going to look at those again once I've achieved them. Then I can be like, hey, you've met this goal. That's you write it and you check it off your list. That's when you care about a goal. In between those two times, all you should be worried about is that bullet list that's underneath it.
The action steps.
The action steps. So that's what I'm.
I like it. I like that thing as something to focus on as well. I mean, I do that too because of all the projects and stuff I have. I've tried all kinds of different things, but the best thing usually is like what's just like the very next step, because usually I have to work on them in short bursts. And so I'm very familiar with that, but it's very nice to hear. And actually, obviously, maybe not obviously, but hopefully it's nice to hear it out loud, because maybe it didn't feel like you had accomplished as much, but you rattled off a lot of things. And granted, they're not, as you say, they're action steps towards that major goal, but you don't get to those goals without those steps. So the very fact that you have done them is an achievement in and of itself. Yeah. Hopefully feels like one.
No, it feels great. Like I told you, it feels so good to have like, just even to know, oh, that decision is made on, this is where I'm going to build our website in, Yeah. And I had that breakthrough. This is the other piece too on why I love why I like focusing on action, because I really feel like creativity breeds creativity. So like, as I was working on wood shop pieces, because that was something that I had a vision already in my head. In doing that, it almost like fired the synapse of, because I sent that text on, I have this vision on how I see the web page, and it looks like this, and it's like, now that I have that, I'm like, and then we can do this and do this, and that vision has already changed. Like, it's not the same as it was when I initially saw it. But it's still like along those same lines, but that it just like, I really feel like that creativity breeds creativity, and it just, the more that you're using that muscle, the easier it is to find creativity in other places,
That's for Double D. Every off mic purpose for Double D.
That cracks me up. Oh, man. So, so that's my Palmer's Pleasure.
It's a good one.
Those are my action steps since the last time we talked. What about you? You said The Room would be your Dave Diggs. Do you want to watch the trailer for that?
Yes, yeah.
right.
Let me take a quick pee break first, just so I can enjoy this.
Oh no, you're fine.
Let me be very quick about it. I also put in the Honest trailer, but that's longer, and I haven't seen it, so I don't know what to expect. But
I actually have not watched The Room. I haven't I only know like the little bits of it, and I have a feeling I'm going to probably see The Disaster Artist before I see The Room. I would be interested to talk about though the worst movie ever made.
Oh sure, I'd be happy to jump into that.
Troll 2 is, in my opinion, is like the worst movie ever made.
Oh yeah, and oh man, I saw something. Maybe I saw a movie
there is
about
a documentary about Troll 2, just like the disaster, but it's an actual documentary that like interviews all those people that were in that movie.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah.
I think I've seen that, and I really enjoyed it. I'm trying to remember if I ended up watching Troll 2. Let me. So let's roll in the intro. I'll take my quick break, and then we'll come back and use The Room as a springboard to talking about that. Okay.
Now get ready. We're gonna play some rock and roll. It's alive! It's alive!
I have been expecting that.
This bad guy, can we go, please?
No, I'm enjoying it.
What are you? I'm Batman.
Who's a grumpy bastard?
Yeah, I'm a grumpy bastard.
What's going on?
Why don't you tell me a story?
What do you mean?
Listen, punk, I don't need you.
Don't think. Feel.
Talk hard!
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Are you ready?
I'm just realizing that I might not have the official trailer here,
Oh,
which is part of the
Allure.
yeah. Shit.
Well, while you're looking, or while we're looking, I felt so bad for Tommy Wiseau at the Golden Globes.
Oh yeah.
When James Franco like calls him up to the stage, which I understand from James Franco perspective is a very like noble gesture, right? Like come up to the stage.
Yeah.
And of course Tommy Wiseau is like Tommy Wiseau, so he like instantly
wants to say something. Yeah.
And like James Franco's like, whoa. You know, and it's just like this, like you're seriously, you got this, not this, you would not have this award if it wouldn't be for this man. Like, let him say thank you or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I actually ended up, it was weird and awesome as well. And I would not have seen The Room if it weren't for this movie, which I also have not seen. But I was intrigued about it. Actually, what it was is I was intrigued by the movie in general. I did see a trailer for it somewhere, The Disaster Artist. And then I heard, because I listened to the WTF podcast, I heard Franco on that. And I always liked that podcast, but I really liked this interview with him in general. I didn't know too much about him. And then he talked a lot about this movie and how he related to this guy in ways that he didn't necessarily even want to admit to himself. And I thought my interest was piqued hearing some stories about him. So I started down this path. Tommy Wiseau is a guy who's, he wrote, directed, produced, stars in The Room. He did everything in The Room. And it's a movie that came out in 2003, completely independently created by this guy who we don't really know for sure how old he is. We don't know for sure where he's from. We don't know for sure how he has the money to do this. And the movie does not work as he wanted it to. Like in his mind, he's like, I'll make this movie and it'll be so intense, people won't be able to sleep for 2 weeks after they've seen it. And that's really what he said about it, I guess. He put up a billboard with his face on it as the star. A very creepy image, by the way.
Yeah,
have you ever seen
that?
Yeah.
I've seen that billboard. Yeah,
yeah, and that billboard stayed up for like 5 years, I think.
Yeah, I believe. Like,
in Hollywood.
Where's this guy get his money? He's like independently wealthy, right?
I mean, I guess, yeah. Somehow he has this money. It's not. I mean, he says he makes it through marketing, and he has these businesses, street fashions and stuff. In the book, Disaster Artist, I learned about some of this, but it's still, he's very, very secretive about these things. And so the room, he keeps it in cinemas in 2003 for at least 2 weeks so that it can qualify for an Oscar. That was why he did that. I'm not sure how long it took for it to catch on, but like it caught on in such a way where it wasn't, they couldn't not sleep for 2 weeks, but people found it hysterical to the point where it was like this cult, and is a cult phenomenon.
Oh yeah, it's like modern day
Rocky Horror kind of.
Rocky Horror, yeah. They do like the midnight shows of it. They did some at the Cedar Lee up in Cleveland. They were showing the room up there.
I don't know why I never saw it. I was always curious about it. I don't think I knew that it was funny, or I don't know. I don't know why I never sought it out before, but I finally did engage with it because of this. The Disaster Artist was not playing in a very convenient time slot or place for us to see it. So I
feel like that was all the Oscar nominations this year. All the like December push.
Oh yeah.
Like we can't find. There's one theater close to us that's playing The Shape of Water.
Really?
Like, yeah. Like what the fuck? Like
I'm hoping that's got to change right now that the actual Oscar nominations are out.
3 billboards. There's 2 show times on one screen at 2 theaters for 3 billboards. There's just not playing the Oscar movies. It's crazy.
It is weird, yeah. And I know Mr. J reached out about the Oscars too, and at first I was like, well, God, I had barely seen anything.
Yeah, that's how
fucking Get Out. Get Out was nominated for all this, which is awesome.
All the awards, man. Hashtag all the awards.
I'm a little shocked, actually. I don't know. It's
anyways,
a different thing.
Back to Disaster Artist.
Yes. Well, The Bride and I will say, just so that maybe it helps hold us to it. The Bride and I were talking about maybe going to, like, they have Tuesday night specials near us to try to see best pictures and stuff between now and then. So maybe I'll have more to talk about if we can find them. But The Disaster Artist piqued my interest, but I couldn't quite get to it easily. I thought I could get the room through the library system, but you can really only get the room through Tommy Wiseau.
Oh, really?
I got this thing from the library that said this is not actually available. And so I ordered it from Amazon, and then I realized later that it came from him directly. So that's part of the charm of it as well, is that it's tightly controlled. So I'll read the synopsis. Here's you can see the cover, which is his he's got something's wrong with one of his eyes. And he wears sunglasses all the time now.
In all the pictures of him, he always looks like stoned to me. Like,
yes, and he doesn't, according to his friend Greg Sestero, who wrote the book about the making of The Room and their relationship, they're still, I guess, to this day, best friends, which is really sweet. That's the thing about it. It's weird. Like, Tommy has got this sort of very dark possibilities around, like, the mystery of his life. Yeah. But he's also incredibly vulnerable, and he's like super egomaniacal and stuff, and completely oblivious to, like, the truth about himself, etc. But he's also, like, super sweet and vulnerable. It's hard to explain, but it is
like, I mean, does he know how bad the Room is? Like, when he watches The Room, does he see a bad movie?
He has embraced the way it has been successful. So I don't know how long that took. But he meant it to be this incredibly serious drama, and people howl with laughter at the whole thing, but they also really enjoy it and watch it repeatedly. And it's still in theaters in LA, and with the Disaster Artist and stuff, they did one of those what is it? Not Fandango. Fathom events where it'll be in screens, that kind of thing. And he appears at these screenings and stuff. So one of the interesting things about the Franco interview on WTF was that he said pretty late in the game, like, I think the movie had come out, or Tommy had seen The Disaster Artist, and Greg called him, Greg Sestero, who's also in the movie as Mark. Oh, hi, Mark. Yeah. Called Franco and said, me and Tommy are at this diner. I can't remember what it's called, but it was like their place. It's familiar to James Franco from telling their story. You should come and surprise Tommy. And so he did show up and they talked, and he said, like, out of nowhere, for the first time, Tommy was this tremendously guarded person, told James Franco, he was like, James, the room didn't come out altogether how I wanted, but it get reaction out of people, and maybe that's enough. And Franco was like, this is incredible. Like, for him to say that to him was quite a revelation. So I think he must know that people take it differently than he meant it, of course. But
to me, that's one of the like charming, like, aspects of his persona, is that he's just this, the room is great because I made it. And like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm in it and I directed it, and it's great. And you just don't get how great it is. I like, to me, the best description of that guy is the flower shop scene when she's like, and he's like walking out, and in hindsight, she's like, "You're my favorite customer," like yelling it behind him, like, you know, like, you know, like.
It's funny you say that, because that's what Greg says in the book, or Greg says, I never, because Tommy is Tommy, and then in the movie he's Johnny, and then and then Greg is the real guy, and Mark is Greg's character in the movie. But he said that moment in that scene where he's like, "Oh, hi, doggy," like, was truly improvised with this pug that was just not moving. And he's like, that's actually the closest to like genuine and what Tommy's really like.
Really?
That moment in that movie. Yeah.
I love, I have seen that scene and I love it. I absolutely love that, because it's just like the bad dubbing and the just like,
oh, there's so much dubbing. So let's dive into this. That's as much background as I know about Tommy Wiseau and what I knew going in. So I get the Room DVD, and it becomes apparent that it comes from him, from Wiseau Films. And so the synopsis is written by him, and there's a longer one. I won't read the longer one, but the back one you'll see. And the accent thing is so stuck in my head. And I've heard a little bit of James Franco, because anytime anyone says anything that Tommy says, they say it Tommy's voice.
Right.
And and I've heard Franco's, I've heard the real Tommy in the Room, and then all throughout the Disaster Artist audiobook is Greg Sestero doing his Tommy Wiseau. And I was truly sad for that book to be over. I'm like, I don't want to leave this world. Anyway, so I won't do it in the accent, because my accents are so mixed and I can't do it. But the synopsis that Tommy obviously wrote is as follows. Oh, and he does acknowledge now this DVD says, quote on the front, like a press poll quote, experience this quirky new black comedy. It's a riot. So nobody said that. He said that eventually, once he realized that was the angle he could sell it by. Right. But I think other than black comedy, which is new, like this DVD is copyright 2005.
There is a like shrewd business aspect to this.
Yes. Yeah.
He definitely, I mean, obviously it did. Well, I mean, his quote, like, it didn't come out the way he wanted, but at least it got something. And it's like, I saw this awesome from him when the nominations for the Golden Globes came out, and that was nominated, and he retweeted that the Disaster Artist got nominated for a Golden Globe. Yeah. And you know, he's like, I forget what the tweet was, but it was really poignant, where it was just like, finally, or something like that, like, where like determination pays off, you know.
Yes. That's part of the charm of the story too, like that he just made this happen. And why it reminds me of certain other kind of underdog quirky filmmaker things, like Ed Wood, or there's an article that came out recently that it was like, before there was the Disaster Artist, there was American Movie.
Absolutely.
It's funny how I relate to all that. We'll get into that a little bit. Let me read the synopsis and we'll watch the trailer quick, so that we have a little bit more of a frame of reference. So he says, The Room is an electrifying American black comedy about love, passion, betrayal, and lies. It's what happens in real life. You could be with your loving woman and all of a sudden, boom, she's in bed with your best friend or a family member. The room depicts the depths of friendships and relationships in one's life and realizes life's real and most asked question. Can you ever really trust anyone? Are you ready to see reflections of your life? That's the synopsis. In the DVD, there's a longer one, like a full insert page.
Yeah.
There's also an ad for TommyWiseau.com, Tommy Wiseau underwear. You can see this on our YouTube page. And then this headshot, which he looks a little less fucked up.
Yeah, he looks a little better than that one.
Yeah. It's so amazing. Okay, so I think I found another link and I put it in our spreadsheet.
Oh,
which if you have that, or I can also I could put it in the chat. This is right. On the DVD there are 2 trailers, a longer one and a shorter one. In any event, just to see some of the movie, regardless of whether or not this is the official trailer.
Okay.
I mean, it's going to be clips from the movie, which is good. So, okay. Do you have that one from the spreadsheet, or you want it in the chat?
Go to the spreadsheet real quick. I just went into this account's my LWSD Palmer account, and I just went in there to the drive for that, and the Nick Nolte mugshot is like, God damn, I love that fucking picture.
That makes me think instantly of Hulk from 2003, I think.
Oh, really? Oh, man. Yeah, that's so awesome.
One of the things Tommy did when the night of the premiere was try to get people to the screening that he set up. And so he's driving by movie theaters in a limo with room shirts and stuff, throwing them out the window at the top of the limousine, being like, don't go see that movie. Go see my movie, The Room. Oh. The idea people are there to see Hulk. And okay.
All right. I'm there. I'm at 0:00.
All right. On 3
and 3.
Oh, so also on the DVD, there's 2 Wiseau Films presents at the beginning of the movie.
Really?
Perfect world.
This is not official, but this will have to do.
Yeah. Thanks, honey. They're beautiful.
A perfect life.
I would do anything for my girl.
I love you, Lisa.
I love you, Johnny.
Surprise! He provides for you. Darling, you can't support yourself.
I don't love him anymore. He didn't get his promotion. And he got drunk last night. And he hit me.
It's not true. I did not hit her. Well, maybe you should have a girl, Mark.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I have one already. I don't know yet.
We can't do this anymore. Johnny's my best friend. This will be our secret.
Don't worry. You can trust me.
We are expecting.
I'm your future husband.
You sure about that?
Please talk to me, please.
You're having an affair with Lisa, aren't you?
You're tearing me apart.
I need more from life than what Johnny can give me.
She's a sociopath. She can't love anyone.
There is no baby. I told him that to make it interesting.
Oh, she's such a manipulative witch.
You're hurting yourself. You're hurting our friendship.
I treat you like a princess, and you stab me in the back. You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
Hey, Danny.
That's my money, Danny!
Put the gun down.
What the hell is wrong with you? Just shut up.
Hey! Stop it out of this world!
The Room.
Oh
my
gosh.
Tennessee Williams, directed by Tommy Wiseau.
Oh,
the
this
best
is official.
movie of the year.
Well,
experience this quirky new black comedy. It's a riot.
Actually, I don't know. Maybe that was the official one.
Maybe that's the new official trailer.
Copyright 2003. Actually, that might have been it. I couldn't remember. And he does, like I said, he keeps raps on keeps control of it. But so it's weird to watch that. And I did see that before the film arrived and I could watch it. None of that matters. None of the plot matters. It's just watching the thing unfold that is so delightful. It's so bizarre and it doesn't work or make sense. And people are so weird in it, but it's just hysterical. And, and then with the background that you learn about the making of it, or Tommy and Greg's relationship and stuff, I don't know. It's very much enriched by that. It's like watching Coven after you've seen an American movie.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, that totally makes sense.
Which of course we put Coven on the first episode in mind of Philip.
Oh man,
yeah,
God, memories, man.
Yeah,
seriously, like you guys should go watch American Movie too.
Fucking A. I'm not sure how or if that is readily available, but I think I mentioned on the show, like showing it to my drummer friend when we he came out to Minnesota and played for we did this kind of marathon session, and his flight got delayed. I don't know why we watched this, but we watched American Movie. At the end of it, I can't remember how I came to realize, but like he didn't realize that it was an actual documentary. He thought it was some kind of fake documentary,
like Spinal Tap or something, right? Like this.
Yeah, and I was like, no, this is completely real. He's like, no way.
Yeah. There are some really iconic shots from that movie that like stick with me. Obviously, like Mike's scream.
The ADR.
The ADR for that scream. I can't remember what Mark's line is after Mike screams, but that
was wicked, man.
Yeah,
fuck it, I'm finding the American Movie trailer. That's a perfect explanation for this movie.
And I love the shots of him delivering papers, like all of the conversations that he has, like the interviews that he gives while he's delivering papers, and like.
Oh
this is
yeah,
a cardinal he's got the like bags hanging from his rear view mirror, and he like puts the papers in the bags and he's like winging them out the window, and like never misses a beat in the conversation. Like he never like just amazing and all the Uncle Bill stuff. Like every
oh
scene
my god. Let's watch that just because that is a big part of our own mythology, and I think will help us talk about this and other bad movies. And just because I want to see it,
I am copying that.
Sorry, everybody.
No, you're fine.
I'll close the gap on some of this, but it really did make me think a lot about America. And I listen to this guy. I listen to this Mark every week on a radio show that they podcast out of Milwaukee, where he has always lived.
Drop the name of that podcast.
Cinema Fireside. You can find it on SoundCloud, and he is at More the Scarier on Twitter. Yeah, Mark's not. Well, you get a sense. Our listeners will also get a sense of Mark Borchard in this, and who's come up a lot in this podcast. You'll get a good sense of him in the audio of this clip. Yeah. But I think Mark and Tommy and Ed Wood, those kind of characters, have a lot in common. And I think that the appeal of those cultural figures in the movies about the making of their movies is it resonates more than just creatives. But anyway, so you got the American Movie one going?
I got I'm at 0:00. I dropped that into the chat of the YouTube page. So if they want to watch that while we watch it, that's great too. Oh man, Mike Shank. God damn, I love that.
I know.
Man.
And of course, we'll tweet this out on our Twitter account when the episode drops.
See that as well. But we'll do this one on 3 as well. On 3 and 3.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, that shot of the road. Oh, shit.
Yeah, opens with these shots from Coven. Oh, I think you're going to get the Mike scream right off the bat.
Yeah.
That was wicked, man.
He's like emotional. The scream was so good. Like
film. You have 2 hours tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and be an extra in
I
the
love
film.
this movie so much.
You get your name on the credits, man, as a producer. And of course, there'll be a whole crowd of people here, so we got to make like a line where people can't go. Have a hell of a lot of assistant directors saying, hey, could you step back like 5 feet?
Grand Jury Prize, Sundance Film Festival, 1990.
I have my shopping to do.
Okay, you got to spread apart that way. All of the extras have just fell through, except for Mike Shank right there.
We used to do a lot of partying together, but I don't party anymore.
I wanted some vodka, and he had some vodka.
Does everyone have brown gloves?
Oh, dude. I'm broke, man. I gotta get gas tomorrow. And dude's talking about making a feature film.
The name of the film is Coven.
Coven.
Coven. That's the proper pronunciation.
No. Coven sounds like oven, man, and it's just it doesn't work.
Like oven.
She
It's
wants
cold.
to be in your film, Bill.
Oh my god.
You get
Oh
your
my
$3,000
gosh.
back. It's the first
Jesus.
line of the film, man. It's got to be on the money.
It's all right.
Okay, I believe we can do this.
37 here where my head goes through
Oh,
the
I
cupboard.
love
Every
Uncle
time
Bill.
we got together, there was something that seemed to go wrong.
Oh, god damn. He shoves that.
Oh, dude. I'm sorry you tried to put your head in this.
Take 30. Cut. You gotta watch your teeth too, because they clack a little bit when they loosen up in the mouth.
Oh, no. What are you talking about, Ma?
Check it out when you look at the scarecrows. You get it?
Within weeks, the film will be cut, finished.
I need to watch
multiple
this right
sales.
now.
What do you
I
think
need to
about
watch
that?
this movie.
This is my fucking Goonies, I think.
We get to
Yeah.
see Americans
It's so
and
good.
American dreams, and you won't walk away depressed after seeing this.
This whole thing is turning into a theatrical mockery. Do you understand that, Mike?
No.
Well, you will. Would you buy this movie for $14.95?
Hell yeah, man.
If I can find 3,000 people like you across this country, man, I'm in business.
Jesus. Wow. Thanks for watching that.
Oh, man,
I
I
realized
love
too
that movie.
that's one of my very favorite trailers. Like I know that trailer, I realize now
Yeah.
quite well.
And honestly, like everything is great in that trailer, and the entire that trailer is very deceptive because you're like, oh, they probably just show all the best parts. The whole movie is like that. It's like 2 hours of that trailer.
And it's like shot on 16 millimeter. It's fucking gorgeous. Like
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I love in the beginning when it's like over the credits where you hear him like opening his mail. He's like, oh, I owe $200 to this bill and $200 to this bill, and I owe $300 over here. And then it goes black, and all of a sudden you hear it like, oh, no fucking way! And it cuts to him, and he's like, a fucking MasterCard.
Yeah.
and then 40 minutes later in the movie, he's going through. He's like, I owe money to this people and money to this people. I owe $500 to MasterCard.
Yeah, that's right.
MasterCard he got in the beginning. Oh, that guy is us. He's us.
Oh. And I think, that movie was very beloved and popular at the time, American movie. And I think it's similar to the phenomenon with Tommy Wiseau, where it's like it's this character of an outsider of Hollywood, anyway, who has a big personality and big sort of dreams of making his thing,
right?
And it doesn't quite resonate like with what I don't know, like. I don't know. It doesn't resonate with the kind of mainstream, but I don't know how these kind of iconoclastic people could, but they still persevere against all odds to make their thing, which granted is not always perceived in the way that they want it to be, but they themselves are such interesting, passionate people that anything that sort of emanates from them, if it leads you back to them, is this like gold mine, because they as human beings are these forces of nature who are untainted by the perceptions of other people. Like they are so fiercely and unapologetically themselves, I guess you could say. And then who they are is so profoundly entertaining and somehow still inspiring. It seems, I mean, it makes a lot of sense why it translates to me, but it obviously it translates way more to people than who make independent movies, because
anybody can relate to passion. And I think these are great. They're great pieces to show. I mean, especially with Mark, Tommy, the more I hear about The Room, like he dropped like $5 million in like making Tommy, right? Or making The Room or something like that.
Sure.
Like he had like a budget of $5 million for The Room.
Oh, I don't even know what the budget was, but like he bought all the camera gear.
Yeah.
You don't do that. He was shooting simultaneously on 35 millimeter film in HD just to say he was the first to do that.
Wow.
Like where all this money comes from, who knows?
Yeah.
But
so he's got all that money, but then you watch, I anybody can relate to passion. But then you watch American Movie and you see Mark. That's like us. It's like it's like you making The Crow or us making Palmer's Picks. Like it's just we feel like what we have to say, it means a lot to us. So let's just make it, and let's just put this passion into it. And if other people find it, that's awesome. You know, the tragedy. The other reason I think why those are so appealing is there is a certain level of tragedy that the documentaries and the stories about them end up doing better than what they're trying to create. You know what I'm like?
Oh, sure. Yeah. But both of their things did okay. I'm like, The Room is wildly successful at this point.
At this point, yeah, but it's not getting. It's not
Coven's
getting
like
awards.
35-minute. You know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's not getting any awards. No.
You know what I mean?
No.
Like it's not getting the respect. Like Tommy, I feel like wanted to be a respected filmmaker. Mark just wanted to make movies and make money at making movies. You know what I mean?
Mark
like,
wanted to make Northwestern. That's kind of what actually the subtitle that you never see in print, but on-screen subtitle of American Movie is The Making of Northwestern, which is the movie that he wants to make, kind of a coming of age story, but he decides at a certain point that in order to make enough money to make that happen, he needs to finish a 35-minute direct market thriller called Coven.
And he's got and his business plan is on a dry erase board. And if I can sell 10,000 copies, or if I can sell,
or no, it's 1,500. I want to say, or 3,000.
Yeah.
There's no 1,000. There's no 2,000. Look
He's
at
like,
this number.
Fuck that!
Fuck this.
Oh wait, I didn't mean to erase that part. But over there it said this. Yeah, man, god damn, I love that movie. Such a good one.
I can't. I mean, I recommend The Room. I like if you think it's going to be as he thought it was going to be Tommy Wiseau, Tennessee Williams level drama, you probably be disappointed. But if you know that it's going to be like one of the best bad movies you've ever seen, I think you'll love it. I fucking loved it. I've only seen it once, but I want to see it so many more times. And I highly recommend the audiobook about the making of it, and it gives it context and background of the relationship between the two best friends in the movie, but also two best friends, unlikely best friends in real life too, because Tommy he's older than Greg, to put it.
Oh yeah,
like he's a lot older than Greg. But it's very sweet.
And they're supposed to play
friendship.
like they're supposed to play like
contemporaries, I think.
Yeah. Like
yeah.
So awesome.
Oh, and he's but and then particularly the audiobook of that. So go to audibletrial.com/LWSD and rock that.
Be sure to go to youtube.com, search Long Walk Short Drink, subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell so you get the notifications for all these live streams. Follow us at LWSD Pod on Twitter. You can email us at lwsdpod@gmail.com. And subscribe to the audio version of these live discussions via our podcast, via iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music.
And tell a friend. Would it kill you to tell a friend?
Yeah, but subscribe on YouTube so that we can get tell a friend and subscribe on YouTube. Those two big things would be awesome. Trying to think.
What is your favorite bad movie? I don't know if I have a favorite bad movie, but I do like a lot of them.
Or like a guilty pleasure, I guess. Or I don't know. I'm kind of a snob. Like that's kind of the reason why I haven't watched The Room, is because I don't think I would need to be with a group of people to know it's okay to laugh at, to like play off of and know it's okay that I can laugh at this movie. It would make I think if I just tried to watch The Room by myself, I wouldn't be able to make it through it, because it's not a movie to me. It's like, that's not right, because it is a movie.
That makes sense. I worried about that myself. I'm like, should I just watch this at midnight by myself? And I was like, fuck it, I will. And I knew that might handicap my experience, but I think I could have had a more rich experience seeing with an audience, but I think I did laugh out loud at least once by myself. And I could, it's with this movie, it is impossible not to see and be amused by the bad acting and stuff. Like Plan 9 is notoriously like they say the best, and that one's similar, but like this one I feel like is more it's so bizarrely.
We should do a bad movie show where we watch Troll 2, The Room, and Plan 9 from Outer Space. Like we should watch all three of those.
Oh yes, those are good. Yeah. And Ed Wood, I know that. So I'm a big fan of the film Ed Wood, about the filmmaker Ed Wood. Film came out in 1994 and was directed by Tim Burton. One of the things oh yes, oh God, the more I think about it, oh my God, I love that movie. Yeah. I love that movie too. I haven't seen The Disaster Artist, but I feel like this will be a sort of trilogy of these kind of outsider filmmakers that I really appreciate. But Ed Wood, I know was an influence on this film. I heard Seth Rogen, who's one of the producers on the Nerdist podcast,
right?
And he was talking about that would be a good touchstone for them. That movie was a touchstone for them because Tommy can be so overbearing and seem like a bully, or I don't know. There is a darkness that Tommy can emanate, but they were always conscious to make sure that they found a sad Tommy moment every scene. And Ed Wood was kind of a touchstone for them, which I think those guys are sort of our age. Him and Franco, and James Franco, of course, directed the movie and stars as Tommy Wiseau, and I guess did most of his directing with the accent and stuff, which is awesome.
It's awesome.
And at some point, so Tommy has a cameo in it, and I guess also when they were on set together. Oh, so this is once he found out that the Disaster Artist was going to be made into a film. He said that he could only be played by Johnny Depp or James Franco, which is kind of funny. And he preferred Johnny Depp, of course. Of course, I don't know, right. But but the other interesting thing too with the Franco connection is Tommy Wiseau seems to not have seen a movie after 1965 or something. Like all of his references are super dated, and the "You're Tearing Me Apart, Lisa" thing is an obvious. Once you know more. Yeah, it's Rebel Without a Cause.
Yeah.
And he loves James Dean, and one of James Franco's early breaks was playing James Dean in I think a TV movie or something. And so in the interview on WTF, he was talking about, it's like, there's a lot of one of the things that he said that I really thought was interesting and piqued my interest was he said that so Tommy goes through this very dark period that's told through Greg's perspective in the book, The Disaster Artist. And out of that comes The Room. He writes The Room. And Franco says this thing that I thought was pretty interesting about, like, ultimately, Tommy is an artist. Tommy took his pain and he translated it into this piece of work.
Right.
And he's like, that's what all artists do. And he's like, for a lot of people, you kind of fail until you start to get it right. And what happened with Tommy was he made this thing that could easily have been considered a failure, but was embraced to such a degree that he may or may not ever move beyond it. Because most people fail and they start to get better based on that. Whereas he had this colossal failure that was also somehow a success in its failure. So just sort of a PS to all this, or a button on it, I don't know. There is a new movie that has yet to come out in America. I think it comes out in March, with Tommy and Greg.
Yeah, I've seen trailers for that.
Have you? I haven't watched the trailer yet. Let's see, Tommy Wiseau. It is called Best Friends with the R in parentheses, so like Best Fiends. And it is Tommy and Greg in a fictional movie. The short synopsis is: when a drifter befriends a quirky mortician, an unlikely business partnership is formed. Paranoia
it does look
soon.
like a quirky mortician.
Yeah, it's pretty good actually.
They probably were like, okay, what could you play? Let's look at you. What could you play?
There's weird things too, where it's like, whether it's in real life hinted at or in The Room, talking about The Room, Tommy's like, maybe he's vampire. Or
what? Man.
He says paranoia soon develops, however, and both men are forced to come to terms with the fragility of friendship and loyalty. And it's written by Greg Sestero. So this is obviously some sort of fictionalized thing about their friendship. But I have heard that Tommy's good in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I hope that's true.
Listen, it's the Lucas thing. It all boils down to the Lucas thing. You cannot have absolute control. You just can't.
Yeah.
You need some kind of accountability, because the second you have absolute control, you get the Room. You get Phantom Menace. That's what you get.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and so I mean, of course he's good. He has to be good. He's independently wealthy. He's charismatic enough that he convinced all those people to be in an obvious shit show, right? Same thing with Mark Beauchard. That guy's charismatic as fuck.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you just want to hang out with that guy. You're going to make a movie? Okay, fine. I guess we'll make a movie while we hang out,
Right.
And because they're so, I don't want to say detached from reality, because that sounds like negative. They just don't give a fuck so much that they're just like, yeah, we're just going to keep doing this,
Yeah.
And like,
well, they also refuse to accept these limitations that everyone else is trying to put on them.
Right.
Which is so appealing, really. Yeah.
Yep. It really is. So, but I believe that he is good in that movie, because he probably has a director outside that's like, no, I need you to do this. Oh, okay, I can do that.
Yeah. The dubbing,
make him memorize the line.
The dubbing in that movie is so crazy. And even there's an interview with him where he talks to the camera and answers questions that are written out. He dubs portions of those lines, ADRs them in such an obvious way that it's so bizarre. The whole thing is so bizarre and just delightful. So that is I've been digging that hardcore. And I mean, I'll see The Disaster Artist before we speak next, but I'll be briefer on the praise thereof. I've been trying to avoid. I saw one trailer, but now that I've read the book and stuff, I know so much what to expect.
Yeah,
I kind of don't want that thing spoiled anyway. So. But I've been really enjoying that. So if you've ever been quasi curious about The Room or this whole thing, I can't recommend enough to just dive in. It's very rewarding.
What we should wrap up with a King Corner and then.
Oh yes, yes sir, yes sir, absolutely perfect.
Honey, come on over here, sugar buns. This machine just called me an asshole.
What King are you on?
I have actually taken a pause a bit from King. My next one, because I've been so obsessed with the Disaster Artist,
right,
and such. But I'm gonna come back to, I feel like it's Road Work is what I'm due.
Oh, okay.
In terms of, I think I got Bachman to catch up on, and then Cujo, which I just sort of got straight in my
Cujo.
Yeah, the one he doesn't remember writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I remember reading that or listening to that one because I was eating some cake at the time. I might need to re-listen to that. Cujo, man, that's a good one. So
yeah, I'm a little scared of it, but it's coming up.
Awesome. I'm working on. I just wrapped up The Wind Through the Keyhole, so and just started Revival, which is, I just started that today actually. So that's
2014 maybe, or
12 or 13.
I think
maybe
Dr.
14.
Sleep. I feel like Dr. Sleep was 2013. just because I happened to listen to that. So if you're past that one, yes, and we're moving into 1314.
But that's pretty good. Went Through the Keyhole was like it's a Dark Tower book.
Oh,
that he wrote after he finished the Dark Tower series. Like he does. It's the same thing with Bachman. So like he exposed Bachman, but he released at least that I can remember at least 2 other Bachman books after Bachman was exposed. Remember me talking about that? I talked about this on another episode where his justification is he imagined that when Bachman, because like Bachman died of cancer of the persona
pseudonym
or something, right? But he imagines that Bachman's wife found this like stack of copies, of
like manuscripts
Yeah.
that he hadn't published,
and so he kept like every time he publishes a Bachman book, he's like, this is the next one on that pile. And I think the last one that I read that he released as a Bachman book was Blaze, and he said this is probably the last one that's going to be of Bachman's manuscripts that are going to be translatable, meaning that he probably was going to release anything else as Bachman. So but he did that with Went Through the Keyhole also, where he said in hindsight he felt like there was another story that exists there. And the great piece is there's gaps in between each of those books where the characters have continued on, but you pick back up in between those gaps. So he fit this book occurs in one of those gaps in between 2 of the books.
Oh wow. Like Chasing Dogma or something, that comic that Kevin Smith wrote that bridges Chasing Amy and Dogma in terms of where Jay and Bob were.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
I read it once. I read it once, but it bridges the gap between that one scene that Jay and Silent Bob are in Chasing Amy, and then how they end up in Dogma.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, sorry. I have to translate it to my own sort of parlance.
That's awesome. So I went through that, and it's a kind of a short Dark Tower book. He read it though, and normally I do not like him as an audiobook narrator because he's so nasal
for his fiction. I'm not sure if I've heard him read his fiction. I don't think I have yet.
When you get to, I'm trying to think what one you might run into. I know definitely Needful Things he reads. There's a couple of them. On writing, obviously, but that's his manuscript. That's like his memoir, right?
Yeah, which I've heard him read that one. And then some introductions, but not any fiction.
He's very nasally. He's just like a lot of his comes out, right?
Yeah, it's a lot with the L's that it really hits me somehow.
Yeah, and he clicks his L's in the back of his throat. It's like
it's weird. Yeah, I have a coworker that does that. I think I've mentioned on lunch.
Like Anthony Clutterbuck. Like that's one of the sheriffs in Castle Rock. Like
isn't there like a TV show about Castle? Isn't there some kind of TV show that is set in the world of King
Castle
or something?
Hospital.
Am I making that up? Castle Hospital?
I think that's what it is.
Whoa. And does it operates independently of the actual stories, but in the town and with some of the
Castle Rock is
characters,
like Derry. It's a fictitious town. I don't think Castle Rock exists.
No, right, exactly. And but that I don't know anything about the show, but I've always meant to ask you about it because it seems.
But there's like 3 or 4 books that all take place in Castle Rock, or the sheriff's department of Castle Rock is involved in those books. So there's Cujo is I think the first one.
Oh yeah.
Oh no. It's Dead not the Zone. First one. Dead Zone was the first one, and then Cujo. Yeah, and then Needful Things definitely does, and I'm pretty sure maybe From a Buick 8, but I don't think that's right. Is around that? No, because that takes place in Pennsylvania. Never mind. Sorry. For you Stephen King nerds. You said that.
I love
From a Buick 8. Takes place.
They should have that nasally thing. We got to work on that so that we can properly imitate them. They would have the little L.
But he read Went Through the Keyhole, and this is such a bad. This isn't a spoiler because you've already read The Stand,
Yeah.
Randall Flagg is a recurring villain in multiple Stephen King books.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did know that. I
Okay.
came to know that somehow.
And there have been multiple narrators in the audiobook genre who have portrayed Randall Flagg. And so Randall Flagg is in this book too and went through the keyhole.
Mm-hmm.
And Stephen King is reading it. And this was the first time that Stephen King, I feel like he kind of took a lesson from Frank Muller and George Guidall reading the other Dark Tower books. Because he really you could tell he really put an effort into reading this and like really putting voice onto the characters and like giving you an experience when you're listening to it. And his portrayal of Randall Flagg is it is spot on amazing. Like it was the first
Stephen King's is?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like it just like the audiobook for Eyes of the Dragon, Randall Flagg is a major character in that. And that guy who reads that book is really awesome at doing that. And I feel like Stephen King kind of emulated that. Oh, Jesus, is it good? Like I'm listening to it and it's giving me chills. And I'm like, oh, he's like nailing Randall Flagg. It's so good.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that idea that it's him doing it. I thought you were going to say it wasn't so good where you were going with that, but I'm very happy to hear that.
No, he nailed it. And so that's where I'm at right now with the chronology. Revival's good so far. I'm too early in it to tell. Joyland. Oh, I finished Joyland. That was one that was in there too. So it was Dr. Sleep and then Joyland and then went through the keyhole. Joyland is like a coming of age story that really reminded me of a Harry Potter story. Like
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
To the point that there's like it's a coming of age story where this kid takes a summer job at an amusement park and just like solving the mystery surrounding that amusement park. And he's got two friends who are also working at the amusement park for the summer, who the one, it's a girl and another guy, and the girl goes back to college and like goes to the library to try to find clues and then comes back and reports just like Hermione would, and like, and there's ghosts and like all this stuff. It's a stretch, but it really reminded me of a Harry Potter book, but it was really good too.
I like it.
So that was good too. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Oh, and I did hear that later this summer, they are planning to start shooting the Dark Tower television series.
Oh, really?
They are moving forward with it, and it's going to be a reboot. They're going to ignore the movie like it didn't exist.
Sounds like it's for the best. I have ignored the movie.
And do more of a they're going to try to do more of a traditional adaptation of the books. They're just it's just fan service. That's what the fans wanted. So
I certainly hope they would do that. I mean, television these days, it's like that. I mean, like I'm talking about the Twin Peaks. It's like, that is an 18-hour movie is what it is.
Yep.
Literally directed by the same guy. Mr. Robot's like that too. Same director. Like it all comes from one person. It's amazing.
Yeah. Binging. Well, they've said that binging has ruined the concept of one-off episodes of shows, because now people look at television shows as a 22-hour long movie. Like, let's write a 22-hour long movie and cut it into 22 1-hour long chunks and then release that. Well,
it doesn't work as much for procedurals and stuff. Like The Bride will watch certain things like The Blacklist or whatever, and those will have your filler episodes.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons she's locked in, well, I know now, one of the reasons she's locked into this Twin Peaks thing is because of the Doc Jensen, who used to do all the Lost write-ups for EW, he's a big Twin Peaks fan, Damon Lindelof as well. So not Damon Lindelof, had Doc Jensen and someone else have a podcast. And so she's got hooked into the podcast, and the Bride always loves to whatever show she's really into, Sons of Anarchy, Walking Dead have been the main ones. She'll print out these like long articles that these kind of cats like Doc Jensen will write up on EW and then read them in the bath and stuff and theorize. And she told me today, because I was like, I really like that you're watching this with me. She's trying to prevent me from seeing the end of it. We're 2 episodes from the end.
Man.
I'm like, oh. It's like, I almost don't care because I'm like, I'm going to go back to the beginning and watch the whole thing over. But she's like, I do really like a mystery, and I really love Doc Jensen's write-ups on the theorizing.
Yeah.
So I think that can be really fun, and certain shows like that really lend themselves to what they come to call mythology in shows.
And you said Lynch is doing, like, he wrote, directed, and all that for these shows.
Yeah, I mean, he co-wrote with the original co-writer Mark Frost, and
Yeah.
like, I mean, if you're not into Twin Peaks, I would not recommend this. There are parts of this I'm not super. Not all of it is in Twin Peaks, the town, which is a big part of it. Anyway, it ultimately works out really well. We've both been enjoying it tremendously. The music is unreal. Like almost every episode ends with a performance in the Roadhouse, which is the bar in Twin Peaks. 9 Inch Nails performs. Eddie Vedder performs. Like those are the big names. A lot of it's more people I haven't heard of, but a lot of it's great. Anyway, but so like that kind of thing, yeah, that's what I would love to see with some of these Stephen King books or any book. Like it's the perfect way to adapt a book.
I'm excited to get to Mr. Mercedes because according to Moto and Shamrock, it sounds like Mr. Mercedes does that exactly. So
yes. How far from that are you? You got to be getting pretty close.
Next one, I think Mr. Mercedes might be the next one.
Oh wow!
It's like Mr. Mercedes is the next one, and then Bizarre
Bad Dreams. Isn't that a collection of?
Yeah, that's a short story one.
Yeah.
And then Gwendy's Button Box, which is super short, and he co-wrote that with somebody else.
Huh.
And then it's the last two of the Mr. Mercedes trilogy, I think, after that.
Oh, and he just announced something, right?
Yeah, he just announced something's coming out this year, and then Sleeping Beauties came out last year. And I already have that on reserve. I mean,
nice.
I'm like 23rd in line to get that. So like, I'll get that later this year. So,
yeah. Or you get on Audible.
audibletrial.com/LWSD. You could listen to it right now before Palmer.
The Wind Through the Keyhole, read by Stephen King, you can find there. What else? You can get The Disaster Artist, read by Greg Sestero, which I fucking adored and was so happy or so sad ended. And of course, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson.
You were just so I was looking at I was on Reddit, and because you mentioned David Lynch, and it came up. I'm going to see if I can find it. Have you ever seen the David Lynch on watching movies on your phone? Have you seen that?
I've seen it, but not. I think about it a lot. I haven't seen it in a while. It's on the special. I think it's on the special features from Eraserhead 2000, which is this thing that I have that's. I don't have it up here, but it's wide. It's a really odd sized thing that's like about twice this high. It's like a book, and it was a personally authored or personally overseen project that he sold from his own website of Eraserhead, his debut film. That he did it in 2000. It came in a shoebox sized thing. I still have these, this packaging somewhere. And he will not do director's commentaries, but he likes to tell stories about things that went on during the movies.
Right.
And so there's a lovely, just interview with him with a big, beautiful microphone in black and white. And he's talking. And I think that's where this comes from.
Well, let me see if I can find it. Because the one that I've only ever seen, it's cut like an Apple commercial. But it's basically like...
I'm so excited to see this. I've been thinking about it a lot recently, watching this TV show. I think he didn't make movies for a while, as I understand it. And the bride was telling me that Laura Dern and Naomi Watts, both of whom were in some of his films, I hope this is true, got together and they went up to his house where he's just making his own art or whatever, as he's always done, but out of the public eye. And they're like, you got to come back to making movies. Right. And then I guess he did. I so hope that's true. And I'm glad he did, because it's weird because like that is such a weird show. There's certain parts of it I don't like, but some of it has just hit me like in this big bad emotional way. That's the thing about Twin Peaks and some David Lynch stuff. Super fucked up and weird. Some bizarre heart of gold underneath. And the years have only made that heart part more pronounced.
Mulholland Drive like damaged me.
There's some fucked up. There's so much fucked up shit. But Twin Peaks can be so charming. I won't go on too much about it. I promise. There's one thing I wanted to relate. He plays a character in Twin Peaks called Gordon Cole, who's hard of hearing, and it's one of the great stereotypes of David Lynch. This Gordon Cole character, who's an FBI agent.
And is he actually hard of hearing?
No, I don't think he is.
Oh,
in fact, he's obsessed with like sound design and stuff, and has made a lot of like albums over the more recent years. But
no, because I saw he is obsessed with sound because I saw another thing, another cool David Lynch thing that I recently saw blurb across Reddit was he sent for the copies of Mulholland Drive. And here's a segue to Mulholland Drive, to another connection to Mulholland Drive. When Mulholland Drive came to theaters, included with the film was a personal letter from David Lynch about, would you mind please just bumping the volume up to this level and slightly offset the frame by this much. And he has a picture of this is where the normal frame would be. And like, I want it to look like this, of like the projectionist on how to project his movie, like to get it to look the way he wants it to.
That's so great.
Yeah. Jesus.
This has really got me excited to kind of go back and spend some more time with him.
Well, this is a good segue. And we'll end on this one. You guys, thanks so much for listening. We really appreciate it. Before we play this, just remember, go to LWSDpod.com. Right now, you can get all our episodes there on SoundCloud. Follow us at LWSD Pod on Twitter. Make sure you're subscribing on YouTube. Click the bell to get the dinger every time that we start one of these live sessions. Also,
we usually do so on Wednesdays around 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Every other Wednesday, so
6 p.m. Mountain.
Tends to be 6 p.m. Mountain. Yeah. Just if you're curious and don't like surprises.
Just because we have Twinkie out in Mountain Time, that's why I'll do the
fucking A. Yeah, we got Twinkie out in Mountain Time.
So make sure you're doing all those things. But for the time being, though, let's end with these fine words from David Lynch about watching movies on your phone. It's just a 30-second iPhone commercial. So,
all right, I'm there.
On 3 and 3.
Now, if you're playing the movie on a telephone, you will never in a trillion years experience the film. You'll think you have experienced it, but you'll be cheated. It's such a sadness that you think you've seen a film on your fucking telephone. Yes. Get real.
Oh, that's great. They made it an iPhone.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, he's so rarely like that. It's so great.
Phone. Like you can tell he's like working himself up to saying that. Like,
angry. Yeah,
because he's obsessed with like the 1950s, right? Like he loves that like Americana and like the properness and everything. And like,
yeah, I mean, and the guy's a fine artist before he was a filmmaker, and he cares about all of that stuff tremendously. And yeah, it's so cool to see him get so worked up. The one thing I wanted to share from the Twin Peaks is that character. So David Duchovny plays a character who's a trans person, I guess, maybe just a transvestite. I'm not sure, but also an FBI agent. So I hadn't seen that character since the original show, but there's a scene with the two of them, and Gordon Cole, David Lynch's character, is talking about how he was helping David Duchovny's character be accepted in the FBI. And it was just so sweet. He's like, didn't I? No, he did say, didn't I? At some point, he's like, I told them when people gave you, I don't know if people gave him, I don't know the full line. I only know the end of it, which is the important bit, which he goes, I told them to change their hearts or die. And it's that kind of like extreme, like just goodness that's also coupled with this profound disturbing stuff.
So you you just look at his catalog. It's disturbing, and then you get to what is it like a simple story or
a straight story? Yeah,
straight story.
Yeah, dude, riding a tractor across the country.
Across the country, like
yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
All right, man.
That's we've been. It's a weird detour, but I like that. Change your heart or die.
Yeah.
In terms of he's saying that for a nice thing, that this person should be embraced and accepted for who they are. So I can't think of a better sentiment to go out on.
Yeah. Change your heart.
I appreciate
or die.
you. Yeah, I appreciate you for who you are. I'm excited to see your wood.
Oh yeah, Palmer's Wood is coming soon, and the Double D Palmer Train working title.
God, please!
I think we might be recording the first one of those this week, actually.
Oh Jesus, that would be amazing.
Yeah. So it's gonna stay private until I can edit it. I'm gonna make it an actual YouTube video with cuts and images and stuff. So
cool.
But you'll at least get to see that the raw stuff first.
That would be so great.
Awesome. All right. Well, to our two viewers who are still sticking with us, thank you so much for joining us tonight on Long Walk Short Drink, episode 39. Subscribe at iTunes, Google Play Music, and Stitcher. Follow us at LWSD Pod on Twitter. Subscribe at youtube.com. Search at Long Walk Short Drink. Click the bell to get all the notifications for the live sessions. Go to what's the other one? audibletrial.com/LWSD for your free audiobook and 30-day trial at Audibles. Thank you so much for viewing. Have a great evening.
Thank you so very much. Be well, everyone. Cheers, Long Walkers.
Long walk, short drink. Long walk, short drink. You've taken that long walk, oh short drink. This was a long walk, fucking short drink. We'll get there eventually.
That guy's charismatic as fuck.